Nando's, the home of food lovers. Subject to availability and delivery slots, available to order online and in stores from 19th of December.
Rachel Johnson on LBC. Listen on your smart speaker. Just say, play LBC.
9:34, and now it's time for Rachel's Takes. I only have one bite of the cherry, so this is when I meet my moment, like Meghan Markle did on that cover, and I get to sound off on some of the other stories of the week. Let's kick off with the intractable, inflammatory subject of migration. It is a truth now universally acknowledged that UK PLC took its foot off the brake and placed it on the gas when it came to migration, which is why we are where we are. The country's not getting any bigger or richer, but still they arrive in their millions. And this is why our Home Secretary, a proud Muslim of Pakistani heritage herself, has said this: resentment turns to anger, and then she turned the air blue. But not our leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch, with perfect pleasure. The Muslim Secretary was trying to out Nigel for reasons to do with trying to reform, best explained by the news agency.
I do welcome the government's announcements. It is nowhere near enough. We're going to work with them to try and get this through. Because what I know is that a lot of Labour backbenchers hate this stuff and already have about 10 of them to criticise their own government. They're going to need us if this is actually going to work.
With helpful friends like Mrs. Badenoch, I might warn Miss Mahmood, who needs enemies. As they say in America, if you want a friend in Washington, get a dog. Oh, I forgot. Speaking of frenemies, we move to the curious status of the Mayor of Greater Manchester, the blue-eyed boy from the north. Should he, would he, could he? Challenge, never hear Keir. Clive Lewis is one MP willing to make the ultimate sacrifice 4 years before losing his seat and offer it to Andy Burnham. And then he went even further.
We now need to do what the Prime Minister once said, which is put country before party. And frankly, party before personal ambition. I just don't see how this can stagger on without any kind of resolution on the horizon. And I think the Labour Party, the Labour grandees, the men in grey suits, need to now really seriously think, how do we get Andy Burnham back into this parliamentary Labour Party and let him step up and become the next Prime Minister? That's my personal view. I know it won't be shared by everyone, but I don't see many other options.
Quite punchy. Keir's off at the G20, but he managed, despite all the trouble that Mill and Noise is off, to make a video, I think, celebrating the father-son relationship, I think, for International Men's Day or something.
It feels like only yesterday that we brought you home. So nervous, but so excited for the journey ahead. Today, almost unbelievably, you're already 17. You're taller than I am. And you've grown into a confident, kind, wonderful young man. And I'm so proud of you. I didn't have a very close relationship with my own dad. When my mum, your grandma Jo, was sick, and she was very sick, he cared for her devotedly. But he and I never really spoke. We never really got to know each other. And I was determined that my relationship with you was going to be different. And spending time with you is one of the highlights of my week, whether it's a takeaway or going to watch the Arsenal.
Well, that was a minute, but it felt a lot longer, I'm afraid. Like many things that Keir Starmer does, it was slightly puzzling. Let me just remind you of what an FT columnist, Janan Ganesh, wrote this week of our Prime Minister. Don't assume that uncharismatic people have hidden depths. Being boring does not make someone a technocrat. One can be dull and inept. But anyway, so Keir's still popular with Donald Trump, but then what's up to him is take MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, the man the CIA blamed for the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, who was in the White House this week. And the president was having absolutely no aspersions cast on his honoured, nay, trophy guest.
You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it, and we can leave it at that. You don't have to embarrass our guest by asking a question like that.
He also told a female reporter on board Air Force One, "Quiet, Piggy. Some men can't bear difficult women doing their job, can they? Unless, of course, they are literally on their knees in the Oval Office." More Rachel's Takes, same time next week. And on that note, back to your calls on should women be offered more support in the office on female health issues after Quiet, Piggy. What do you think, Terry in Lisbon? Hi there.
Hello there. Nice to speak to you, Rachel. I'm sorry, I'm very nervous.
No, don't be nervous. Don't be nervous at all.
I just wanted to chip in because, one, I love the way you present this. It's not just about women, it's about men and women. It's the issue between them. I've had 2 marriages, I have 5 children, and I looked after my first family in the early years of their life whilst my wife continued her career, and I took on my family from 11 years on since then. And I did that without a lot of support, but I've always campaigned for women's entitlement, disabled entitlement. What I want to say is that women want to work, but there are struggles at times. Men who work want to work, but there are struggles from time to time, not just in terms of physical, I'm not going to say disabilities, physical ailments
Challenges.
or
Yeah.
challenges, yeah.
Well, what kind of thing? I mean, let's broaden it out.
Well, you see, I have worked with learning disabled for 50 years. I've worked with physical disabled and I've worked with people with dementia. And it's amazing what these people can do when they're supported in their work.
Wonderful.
I know so many volunteers I've worked with over the years, literally hundreds, if not thousands, who desperately wanted to work. Well, there wasn't the facility to support them or to accept them and integrate them. And there's so much skill that's missed with people with autism. They're so clever so often. And it's very frustrating that women go through their crises in life, men go through their crises in life. I just thought recently, I was waiting for you to respond, of men that go to war. They come back in a abysmal state. My father did.
Yeah. And also the support for veterans. I know Johnny Mercer, who's a former MP I know quite well, he's campaigning. He became, I think, the first veterans minister.
Yeah.
And, that seems astonishing that we didn't have one before, the last Tory government.
Yeah. I think what we need is a government that supports the idea of supporting companies to take on board and support in appropriate ways women going through these crises, men going through their crises, and disabled managing, getting into work with the support they need to continue to work. Why are we leaving so many people out of the workspace when a proper integrated service to employers, supporting employers to take on these people? In the 70s and 80s, I saw disabled people work with what shall I call it? An environment where you didn't get paid because that's what was happening in learning disability services. And we got to a period where people were getting employed and people were being supported or at least tolerated with their disabilities or incompetencies. I think we need to actually support women going through their crises in life, men going through their crises, often because of going to war. But also, I've had prostate cancer, and I had a brilliant set of volunteers that supported me through that. But I don't think I would have survived in work with that. And that's why I actually retired a bit early. It's just a shame that so much skill and intelligence in all these areas
Just very
has
quickly,
been missed.
Terry, you sound very, understanding time. Do you think that it's fair and right urgent and necessary that menopause-related claims could be taken to tribunal or a court, same as on the grounds of disability, sex or age discrimination and harassment? Do you think it's right to lump menopause along with those other things?
Well, no, not to lump men. I think we should be more diverse in our thinking. We should be thinking that there are crises in life, men and women's crises in life, and disability demands that should all be considered as valid.
Okay. Terry, I'm going to read out some text. A phone in on the female menopause, and you've had 3 blokes on the air. Don't women have anything to say about women's problems? Asks Archie in Inverness. Here's one. Re-menopause. I think there should be an insurance policy jointly paid into by both the female and the workplace that covers maternity leave wages and menopause wages. Regards, Ian. That's it if you need to take time off work for menopause, and I'm not sure what percentage of women do. I mean, I know we've heard of a survey that showed how many women leave the workforce completely during or after menopause, and that seemed to be very high. I think it was 38%, but we need to verify. I understand what you're saying, says Jackie, but for me, menopause included all the symptoms you have highlighted, plus unbearable groin and leg pain. Brace everyone. Blood clots the size of eggs, having to change a super nighttime towel during the day every 15 minutes. The pain became so bad, many times I've had to lay on the floor in supermarkets, shops, or even the pavement. Headache so bad I could hardly lift my head from the pillow. Joint pain. I don't want to bore you with many other symptoms. Please don't play this down, Jackie. Wow, well, how could I? After reading what it put you through. I mean, that is a most conclusive text. If that isn't disabling symptoms deserving of support and time off, paid time off, I don't know what is. It's 9:46.
Coming up at 10, Nick Abbott leading Britain's conversation. Next on LBC.
Join Andre Rieu at OVO Arena, Wembley, London on 18th of September. Book now at andrerieu.com.
Managing your business is a big task. To then stay on top of the numbers as well, you're only human. That's why the Intuit QuickBooks AI-powered platform supports your business growth as the #1 recommended cloud accounting software. Intuit QuickBooks. Based on a survey of 506 UK accounting professionals verified by
Waitrose presents 3 for 2 on chilled party food.
Everyone.
Hi, nice to meet you.
8 guests, 1 host who knows exactly what will bring them together.
Food's ready.
Starring #1 King prawn toasts with crispy sesame seeds, soft polar bear bacons, roasted with hoisin bitch belly, and ultimately tender wagyu beef with pies.
Waitrose, the home of
So, look, saying thanks isn't my strong point, Dad. But it doesn't mean I don't want to say it. Like, telling you thanks for being, well, my dad. Saying thanks for keeping my chair at the dinner table. I only moved out 10 years ago. And teaching me how to load the dishwasher correctly. Now I'm so far away. For all the advice I listened to. You know what I'm like. I never get around to saying it.
This Christmas, if you can't find the words, find the gift. John Lewis.
For people living with dementia, Christmas can be confusing, overwhelming, heartbreaking. Families are often left to cope alone. But you can help a family reimagine Christmas. Donate to Alzheimer's Society and you can help provide practical support, expert advice and crucial companionship this Christmas. It will take a society to beat dementia, and we can't do it without you. Search Alzheimer's Society and donate today.
Leading Britain's conversation, LBC, with Rachel Johnson.
9:48 is the time. Let's get back to calls on whether male and female-related health conditions should be supported in the workplace. Be added to the list of protective characteristics that employees can call to support them, such as I just read out a few moments ago. Dennis in Wellman Garden City. I'm glad you're on the line because I saw your text and I know you have disagreed with the take we've had this evening.
Absolutely. I think it's finally brought to the comparing and trying to include men in the conversation when society is built around men. Women provide a lot of service, emotional labour, mental load, carrying children, taking maternity leave, to further labour. Why does the gender job right? And so we really talk about women's issues as it is. And so why can't we have a discussion that is just based on this to include men in the patriarchy?
Well, let's leave men out of it. I mean, I agree, behind every great man, there's a woman doing 3 jobs, right? And enabling that man to be the great man. We know that. And also doing 2 jobs at home. Okay, which could be children and parents. And maybe. So, the emotional load, the labour, as well as paid work, is all the surveys show falls disproportionately on female of the sexes. What's your view as to whether companies should support benefits as well as maternity?
I absolutely think that should be a factor that's built in, and I think that would have benefits that would extend beyond the company to perhaps creating a fairer society where women's experiences are taken into account, that they're not discussions that we have to have like this, for example. If it were the other way around, I know I'm going to bring in men, but if it were the other way around, you know, we discuss period products, we have to pay for those. That's not our fault that we have periods. It's not our fault that we get the menopause, that we are the ones who carry children. If it were men, that wouldn't be a paid product, for example. But that's the society we live in. It would impact mental health and well-being, relationship satisfaction, if we were to focus more on women's issues, and so on.
Okay. Debs, I think you're right. Do you remember that? Was it a Saatchi & Saatchi ad which showed a pregnant man? That was, of course, before we've had, obviously, LGBT and trans women, and, you know, trans men, all that. But there was that very, very striking ad. And if somebody said, you know, if men were pregnant, we would, you know, the world would be configured differently. There would be a huge amount more support. You know, tampons and period products would be free. They'd get paid leave. You know, everything would stop.
Absolutely.
Because it's women, we're supposed to just knuckle down and get on with it.
Exactly, and justify ourselves and have to have these conversations to advocate for ourselves and symptoms that we display.
Debs, well said. Thank you for your call. Sarah in Wimborne.
Hi there, Rachel. We have spoken about this before a while ago. Sadly, I worked as a mental health nurse, and I had a very bad perimenopause before it was a word, when we weren't talking about it, you know, about 17 years ago. But I'm one of those that,
you left
sadly,
the workplace.
It's devastating, really.
God, how difficult. I mean, what could your you're a mental health nurse. What could have been done in the workplace to enable you to carry on working through that?
Well, I had one first nasty manager, then 2 nice, and then another nasty one, and really just do what the nice ones. I was a mental health care coordinator. I worked with clients. There was duty cover, so it was the ideal job to work around it, actually, and keep well for the rest of the month. Then it's just. I mean, obviously, not all jobs is not so simple. But it's just allowed us to have individual days off. In the NHS, they do still penalise people with chronic health problems that occasionally do need a day off. It's still something penalised. Well, what they'll do is, what I do know is where I used to work, if you have 3 absences for one day, then you have to speak to your manager about it, and they have to make the decision whether they think it's okay or not. So they could easily, not take a liking to you and decide when, that's better than someone going off for, 2 weeks of flu that might have gone out on a bender, been drunk, and then got the flu, isn't it? That's better.
Can I ask, when did you get through perimenopause, and did you think I could go back to work now, Sarah?
I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to get my MP to help. I'd like to go back because I was good at my job. My clients didn't want me to leave. I couldn't in the end. I've got rid of one manager and John in her 2 nights, and then I just couldn't. I had cancer as well at that point, so it was just all too much.
Sarah, I'm sorry to hear that. I think you should keep trying. Thank you for that. Time to my podcast, it's Difficult Women and the activist Gina Martin, who in 2017 was upskirted at a festival while she was seeing The Killers on stage. What followed was a long fight to turn this into a crime. In 2019, she achieved her goal and the Voyeurism Offences Act was passed. Here she is talking about when the bill was being debated in the House of Commons, and Christopher Chope, the Tory MP, was the only member who objected.
I was working with a great local, Ryan Whelan of Gibson, Dunn and Crutcher at the time, and he'd taken this on pro bono, so it was just the two of us that were running this campaign. And we had built up like cross-party support over like a year. It had taken us almost a year to get MPs and ministers to agree in principle to reforming the legislation in line with the Scottish legislation, with some changes that were agreed by key legal experts and stakeholders. We had police chiefs saying, yeah, this would make our job so much better. We collected so much evidence from the most important people up and down the country and in Scotland to say that this should be, the Sexual Offences Act should be changed in this way. And there was it was really rare in that there wasn't a whole lot of pushback from the key stakeholders that we were talking to and other contacts that we were in the relationships with across parties that demonstrated Conservative. And we heard that Chope was going to object, and I think it was during it was either the second or third reading. I think it was the second reading, but I can't remember a lot from my life at that time because I was to hear from those that we were working with in the Conservative Party who had spoken to him, what his movements would be. And I remember going to sit there and witness it and seeing members of his party like pull him aside and have a conversation with him when we were getting to the point where it was going to be read out. And then there was no, I was kind of watching the body language and I was like, no, I think he's going to do what he said he's going to do. And he objected, and there was like cries of shame. People were really frustrated because there was real support for the bill, and he blocked it. And I left and was in the lobby, and he was standing near me, and I went over to him and said, Chope, I really Mr. Chope, I'm not pressing Christopher, which I don't think you're allowed to do, but I was like, I'd really like to talk to you about why you blocked the Voyeurism Offences Act. And he said, which one was that?
Oh, you mean he was just sort of shouting object to every bill that hadn't been debated? So he didn't want to progress to the next stage?
Exactly, and he's objected to so many private members' bills that he almost, it seemed like he just wasn't aware.
So it was a procedural matter, not an actual objection to the content of the bill?
Well, it was an objection to the content of the bill, because my next question was, do you know what upskirting is? I'd love to talk to you about the impact of upskirting on victims and survivors and why we're trying to push this through. And he said, no, I don't, and I haven't read the bill. And so in that moment I was like, this is so wild that we can have like complete support across party, and then one person like Christopher Chope, who hasn't even read the bill, can object to it and blocks legislation that's so important to people. And I left the house and I wrote a statement and I put that into the media before he could kind of get there. And we drummed up so much support up until that point that people were really, really angry at him. And it was a huge, you probably remember, like, I think his house was, I think people threw knickers at his house and he was escorted out of certain places with security, and, like, it was very intense. And he came out a few days later saying, well, actually, it was one of the hardest days of my life in my professional life. And I remember just thinking, you should try being a woman who is assaulted and is trying to push legislation through with no political legal experience.
That was the activist Gina Martin, and the entire episode is available on the Global Player now. That's it from me. If you've missed any of today's show, you can listen back on our free Global Player app or the new LBC app, where you can stay up to date with all the latest news and opinion, put your news categories in the order you want, pause and rewind live radio, and listen to a range of podcasts. Download the all-new LBC app for free from your app store now. Coming up at 1 on LBC, it's Clive Bull, but now it's time for Nick Abbott.
Thank you, Rachel. The COVID inquiry is in and no one concerned avoided criticism, but apart from that, they all got off scot-free and no one who was in charge suffered as a result of their own greed, vanity and ineptitude. So that's all right then. In other news, Trump and Putin concoct a deal to stop the war that Putin could stop anytime he wants. And there was the Piggy incident, which should tell American women exactly who Trump is, but it's not exactly out of character, and just enough of them appear to support him anyway. Strange days indeed. That and more with me, Nick Abbott, after the new news at 10 on LBC.
This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 10 o'clock. President Trump says Ukraine will have to keep fighting against Russia if it doesn't like a new peace plan being supported by the White House. He made the comments this evening as reports suggest the measures would mean Kyiv surrendering territory and shrinking its armed forces.
Well, at some point he's going to have to accept something. He hasn't accepted. You remember right in the Oval Office not so long ago, they said, you don't have the cards. Don't forget, I inherited this war. I would have never, this war never would have happened. I inherited this war.
President Volodymyr Zelensky has already said he will not betray his country's national interest. Vladimir Putin says he's received an outline of a peace plan from Washington, but he has reservations.
This text is not being discussed with us in any substantive way, and I can assume why. I believe the reason is the same. The US administration has so far been unable to secure the consent of the Ukrainian side. Ukraine is against it.
A member of the BBC's board has resigned as the fallout continues over the editing of a speech by President Trump for an edition of Panorama. Shumeet Banerjee says he wasn't consulted about the events preceding the resignation of the Director General Tim Davey. The Prime Minister has challenged Reform UK to begin an investigation into links with Russia. Nathan Gill, the party's former leader in Wales, has been jailed for taking bribes while he was a member of UKIP and the Brexit Party. LBC's Caitlin Parr was at the Old Bailey earlier today.
Messages between Nathan Gill and the former Ukrainian politician Oleg Voloshin were found on Mr. Gill's phone when he was stopped at Manchester Airport in 2021 when on his way to a conference in Moscow. Prosecution saying that those messages indicated an established pattern of dealing between the two men and established relationship.
An Afghan national whose arrest led to protests in Nuneaton during August has admitted raping a 12-year-old girl. The 23-year-old and his co-defendants will face a trial in January for a series of different offences, including the abduction of a child. In the city, the FTSE 100 closed up 12 points at 95.39. The pound will buy $1.30 and €1.13. LBC weather, cold for most areas to begin with overnight before outbreaks of rain and wind push southeastwards across the country, remaining chilly in the southeast overnight with a low of around 0 degrees. From Global's newsroom for LBC, I'm Tim Daly.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Nobody knows who the hell he is.
It blows my mind, Nick. It really it does my nutting.
Yeah, mine too. Multiple Met Office ice warnings came into effect as temperatures across Britain have dropped to minus 11 centigrade.
Warning.
The warnings came after snowy weather shut schools and led to Crabble chaos. Have you heard? In some parts of the country, as the UK continues to battle a freezing cold snap, or what most countries near us would call a perfectly normal winter's day. Scotland land is expected to bear the brunt of the freezing conditions with lows of up to minus 11C. Or is that down to minus 11C? Either way, it's European surrender measurements, so allow me to translate that to His Majesty's patriotic flag-waving, bunting-bedecked Fahrenheit. Let's see now. To get from centigrade to Fahrenheit, you simply double it, that's 32. An idiot could do it. So double minus 11 is plus 22, because two wrongs do make a right. And 22 plus 32 is 64. Wow. It's going to be snowing while it's 64 degrees Fahrenheit out there. Can you believe that?
No.
Multiple yellow ice warnings remain in force across Scotland, Northern Ireland, the southwest and the east of England, which sounds like everywhere to me. This, of course, will raise fears of hazardous roads. And motoring organisations say that if you must travel by car, you should take the precaution of turning your headlights off and your fog lights on, and to fit one of those exhausts that make a racket like the engine in a Lamborghini, because this will make you look cool. Of course, if you're driving a 20-year-old BMW 1.8 litre, you will already be doing this. Travel experts have said that there could be widespread travel disruption and a heightened risk of slips and falls, which, if you are travelling by train, you will have been warned about every 10 seconds, endlessly, the entire time you're on the platform, and then on the train, and then on the concourse of the station that you alight at.
Fabulous.
And why is the word alight only ever used for trains, by the way? Somebody should look into that very strongly. Comes after schools were forced to close, roads were disrupted, and homes were left without power because of snow. And to illustrate this, the papers showed pictures of what they described as cars being dug out of the snow, with two people in front of a car trying and failing to fill their shovels with snow because it was so thin you could see the surface of the road through it. It wasn't enough to cover the soles of their shoes, and already we're being told it's Snowmageddon. But it's not lasting. A Met Office spokesmodel said, as we head into the weekend, we expect a shift to milder, more unsettled Atlantic-driven weather. This will bring cloud and rain and some stronger winds at times, but also a reduction in the wintry hazards that we've seen over recent days. It's okay, kids. You'll be able to go back to school next week. Saturday, rain in the southeast, followed by rain arriving in the west. And the northwest, I bet. I mean, I could check on that while you wait, but I don't really see the point. We know what I'm going to find out. One moment, please. Your call is not important to us. If it was, we wouldn't force you to communicate with an assistant bot that doesn't speak English and isn't any help. Aha! It's raining at the moment in Glasgow. You believe that?
Yes.
It will further be raining tomorrow and raining on Sunday, and not raining on Monday or Tuesday. Rubbish. Raining on Wednesday, though, and Thursday and Friday and the following Saturday and the Sunday after that, and then Monday the 1st and Tuesday the 2nd, Wednesday the 3rd, and Thursday the 4th, pretty much every day for the rest of your lives. Would you like to hear the long-range forecast for the next 4 weeks?
No.
Okay, last week in November, first week in December, settled to start, turning unsettled across everywhere Wednesday and into Thursday, with cloud and rain turning more settled into December. And then, the middle 2 weeks of December, blimey, it's so near Jesus' birthday, it's almost time for the shops to put out the Easter bunnies. Middle 2 weeks of December, settled at first, with dry weather, light winds and overnight fog and frosts, rain less frequent than usual, and above average temperatures more likely than not. Rain less frequent than usual and above average temperatures more likely than not. We'll take it. Craig emails, did you notice Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman fighting back the smiles as Donald Trump went off on one of his rants in the White House on Tuesday? Notably absent was Brian Glenn, the reporter and partner of Marjorie Taylor Greene, who asked President Zelensky why he never wears a suit. And have you noticed Trump always covers his right hand where the makeup was with his left hand? There's a lot in there, Craig. I'll deal with some of those points later, much, much later. Meanwhile, here's a suspiciously keen caller in Sweden called Patrick. Patrick.
Yeah, hi Nick. I'm suspiciously early again today because I work tomorrow.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
So do I. And I'm here till very late.
That's true, yeah. I have to get up early tomorrow to work. That's the difference, I guess.
Right. You surely didn't call me to tell me that?
No, I didn't call you to tell you that. I called you to talk about the weather.
Go on.
Well, we have a cold snap here as well, you see.
How cold is cold?
Well, winter has arrived, you could say. Well, if I can set the scene, just briefly, because where I live, it can get quite cold, but the temperature can vary a lot. It's good to know what the temperature is, so you know what to wear. And so people have thermometers very often in the kitchen that show you the outdoor temperature.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that, you get up and you go and have breakfast, and you look and you're in the kitchen and you think, oh, that's the temperature. And I got up this morning at 7, my usual getting up time, and it was minus 16.
What? Minus 16?
Minus 16, yeah. And I thought to myself, well, okay, I don't have to go to work for a couple of hours. Maybe it'll get a bit warmer. I'll wait and see.
Yeah.
2 hours later, 9ish, I look at the thermometer and it's minus 17.
Oh, getting worse.
Yeah. So I had to quickly dig out some long johns. And also, the thing that I would recommend in that kind of weather is something I bought a couple of years ago.
Yes.
Which is a merino wool balaclava.
A merino wool balaclava. Well, I'm way ahead of you there, Patrick. I've got balaclavas up to my eyeballs.
Up to your eyeballs.
And if the month is not August, then I am wearing long johns as well. Sometimes 2 in a row.
Yeah, I've heard you say that. Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for giving us the update from where they really have awful weather. Not here, where a little light dusting of snow brings the entire country to a halt. Every blooming year it's the same. Winter comes as a surprise. It's like the people who are in charge don't have calendars. Paddy in Cheltenham says, did you see Mamdani in the Oval Office this afternoon playing Trump like a fiddle? No. Well, I wouldn't describe it like that. He says, by the way, I think we should take Trump's lead for once and just refer to him as Piggy from now on. Hashtag Piggy of the United States. What? Apologies to all actual pigs everywhere who are lovely. I'm not sure about that. Yeah, Mamdani and Donald Trump had a bit of a love-in. He's a radical, communist, fascist, and I like him a lot. I think he'll do a great job, and he'll be a disaster for New York, who are lucky to have somebody who cares, and will destroy that city because he's a smart guy, and he has no idea what he's doing. Let's have Horton-le-Spring in Sunderland. Andrew.
Yes, how are we doing?
Good, thanks.
How we doing?
I'm still good. From the last time you asked me.
I'll be there. With him in it, where are we? What are we talking about?
I'll tell you what, Andrew, I'll put you on hold and I'll come back to you when you've regained your consciousness. All right, then. Somerset. Hello, John.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
Yes, good, thanks.
Oh my God, it's always a pleasure to speak to you.
Is it?
What happened? Yes, it is. Richard Tice. Do you know who he is?
What's he done now?
Should we give him any publicity? I don't know. We should. Anyway, he's
Is there a delay? I mean, is everybody except me on a delay on this show so far? You're throwing silences in. They're echoing canyons of silences on most of the callers so far on this show.
I'm really sorry, I will get to the point.
Yes.
Richard Tice, reform and all that. Is he reform?
Okay, I'll put you on hold, John, and we'll come back to you when you've regained your marbles. Chelsea, hello, Mark.
Yeah, my dear man, I've just realised there's a couple of things we can learn from our French neighbours.
Yes. Are we?
Firstly, the president, I don't know if you've heard of Sarkozy, who had a very talented, attractive missus. He could play the guitar. Anyway, he was sentenced to this minor sort of inconvenience of 5 years imprisonment.
Yes.
For all sorts of things.
To the fullest extent of the law.
He was let out after 6 weeks. Maybe we could transpose that on his ex-royal, ex-dukeness, the grand old Duke of York.
I have no idea what you're talking about now, Mark, and I suspect you don't either. Is this my fault? I think it probably is. On the other hand, this show was like this before I got here. Gary from Anglesey says, Flump has outdone himself this week with a quiet piggy put down of a journalist. He himself may soon end up being the little pig who lived in a straw house that was blown down around him. All right, I'll get to that. There's so much to talk about today, I don't know where to begin. This is the sound of my mind being boggled. 0345 6060 973, text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on WhatsApp, it's the same number as the phone, 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC.
This is LBC.
Welcome on board this LNER service from London King's Cross to Edinburgh. My name's Paul, your train manager today, and hang on, is that a Scrabble tournament in coach here? Yes, G with an X is a word. Right, we're cruising at 125 miles per hour, same speed this lad next to me is typing. Someone's on a roll. The cafe bar's in coach G if you fancy a brew, or if you're mid-box set binge, just order through the QR code at your seat. We'll deliver it. So sit back and enjoy your journey. With LNER, it's freedom all the way.
For the nappies, peekaboos and tea parties. Mess, tantrums and sleepless nights. All those yo-yos, action figures and shinies. Lifts to mates, lifts to parties, lifts everywhere. For each and every one of those teenage years. Let's be honest, you probably owe your parents one. So tell them about pension credit. it could boost their pension income by an average of over £4,000 a year. Pension credit. Credit where credit's due. Eligibility criteria apply. From Alan Bennett and Nicholas Heidner comes The Coral, when they were divided by war. Carted off to France. Haven't lived. So soon, he united them in song, starring Ray Fiennes.
A man should hear a little music for the sense of the beautiful in the human soul.
The Coral, in cinemas now.
Brands that use radio are 49% more likely to get noticed. Amplify your advertising at radiocentre.org, assuming you want to get noticed.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Hello. Alex from Norwich says, I know you like messages to be short and to the point. And that's it. Thank you for being brief, Alex. I appreciate it. Thank you. Gary in Anglesey says, Flump has outdone himself this week with a quiet piggy put down of a journalist. Yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. Stop telling me about it. I'll get to it, Gary. Good things come to those that wait. I see you sit waiting in anticipation. Merthyr Tydfil. Hello, Jeff.
Hello, Nick.
Jeff.
Let's start. Where do we start?
Start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start.
Okay. Nathan Gill turns up, he gets arrested, is charged with 9 counts. 8 counts of bribery, 1 count of conspiracy. He turns up, he's booked to appear next year, 2026, in June, in the Old Bailey. He turns up a month ago, pleads guilty. And he pleads guilty to 8 counts of bribery, and put aside is the count of conspiracy. I wonder who that would entail. But never mind, those are facts. Those are the facts that I'm trying to work out. What I'm saying to you, and have said in many times before, I told you to have watched this guy, didn't I? Way back. And you were first, and I must say, the Nick Abbott show has always come up with the lead stories.
Breaking news.
From your Welsh correspondent.
Welsh correspondent.
You've got it.
You have your finger up the pulse.
Right. And this has been put, I suppose, in the show. Well, no, it's not linked, isn't it? It's closely linked to the Ukrainian situation, whereby this buffoon in Washington is going to throw Ukraine, as I said 3 years ago, they're going to throw Ukraine under the bus.
Yes.
And I'm just furious. I'm just absolutely beside myself. I've gone to the window. I said I'm mad as hell.
And you're not going to take it anymore. Yes.
And everybody in Merthyr has done the same thing, so nobody paid any attention.
Right.
The point is how can this man do this to Ukraine? I can't believe it. I cannot believe it.
Really? You can't believe that Donald Trump, who doesn't care about the people of Ukraine?
Well, this is what's happening. I can't believe that any human being can do it that way.
Wow.
I don't think he's human.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Well, you seem to be exercised by a lot of various things that are related, I suppose, but not necessarily the same thing. Nigel Farage is facing calls to investigate route outlinks between reformed UK and Russia.
The Russians.
Russia. Yeah. Seems to drag around after him like a bad smell.
Yep.
He's facing calls to investigate route outlinks between reformed UK and Russia. Yeah, that's what he's going to do. He's going to investigate it. It's a funny old world, ain't it, Jeff?
It certainly is.
And becoming less amusing by the moment. Yes.
The banning list in the pub is just beyond. You can't put any more names on it.
That pub's going to go out of business if they ban any more people at the Duck and Cuckoo. It's the Goose and Cuckoo, isn't it? I screwed that one up. Oh, I got the cuckoo part right, but I accidentally played a recording of a duck. This is one of a goose. You see the difference?
Oh, I didn't realise. I think that's very interesting.
Isn't it? Because this is a duck, and this is a goose. Can you see the difference?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Very apparent.
As an expert on birds, Nick, you've shown your expertise to the finest degree.
Once again.
I compliment you.
Well, I hope you're making notes, because this will be on the test. All right. Excellent work. Thanks a lot, Jeff. Keep your eyes peeled. Vladimir Putin will be expected not to invade his neighbours. Pretty pleased with sugar on top. Stop killing people. Russia will be welcomed back into the G8, and the US will receive significant financial rewards under Donald Trump's 28-point peace plan to end the war in Ukraine. Or should that be Donald Trump will receive significant financial rewards under America's 28-point peace plan to end the war in Ukraine? I don't know. It's definitely one of the two. The full details of the controversial proposal, drafted secretly by America and Russia, has been revealed, and they require Volodymyr Zelensky to make huge concessions to Moscow, including but not limited to crawling across the carpet and kissing Vlad's shoes. The plan would limit Ukraine's military to 600,000 personnel from more than 900,000 currently, and ban the country from seeking membership in the NATO military alliance. And the right-wingers in this country are cheering on that, particularly, because, they would like other countries to be told what international organisations they can be a member of. Only one line in the plan is dedicated to Ukraine's unspecified security guarantees, and it bars the deployment of any NATO troops from the UK-led coalition of the willing on its territory. It's very fair, and my good friend Vladimir Putin told me it was fair when he dictated it. He's a very nice person. He has a video, a tape, in a safe. He's a good person. Crimea, the peninsula Putin annexed in 2014, will be internationally recognised as Russian, alongside the Donbass regions of Donetsk and Luhansk. So what does Ukraine actually get for any of this? The Russian economy would receive a boost as part of a new long-term economic cooperation agreement with the United States of America, which will involve rare earth metal extractions and projects in the Arctic.
What?
Yeah, the Arctic. Is this what happens when the dons of two families get together to divide up the spoils?
Absolutely.
It sounds very much like it, don't it? Moscow would be granted roughly two-thirds of the 300 billion euros of sovereign assets frozen in Europe, with the remaining 100 billion going towards reconstruction in war-torn Ukraine.
Hizi si mchezo. Chana kutumia uzione hizo kona. Uniambia kama at all they look friendly.
Has press secretary rejected the notion that the proposal called on Kyiv to make major concessions to the Kremlin and insisted that the US had engaged equally on both sides. Also, up is now down, black is now white, and nobody knows what magnets are. If only I had that on the screen in front of me, I'll be playing it for you right now.
Magnets. Now, nobody knows what magnets are.
Nobody knows what magnets are. Caroline Levitt said it's a good plan for both Russia and Ukraine, and we believe it should be acceptable to both sides, said Donald Trump's Minister for Misinformation. The proposal, written by Trump's stooge and Vlad the Insane's goons, grants Moscow unprecedented political power in Ukraine while making Kyiv vulnerable to future aggression and limiting in its ability to defend itself. It'll be totally fair. Ukraine will be banned from possessing long-range missiles, and foreign jets providing assistance are going to have to be stationed in Poland. Ukraine will be forced to surrender its industrial heartland, the mineral and coal-rich eastern Donbass region, which will become a demilitarized buffer zone, internationally recognized as belonging to Russia. Kherson and Zaporizhia will be frozen along the line of contact, and the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant will be relaunched and supply half of its supply to Ukraine and the rest of Russia. So what exactly, apart from a hiatus from the Russian bombing, does Ukraine get from any of this? And the Trump-Vlad statement reads, after agreeing on future territorial agreements, both the Russian Federation and Ukraine undertake not to change these arrangements by force. So that's good. Except Vlad already promised that and broke it by bombing and shooting. Also known as force. And it gets worse. Ukraine will be required to hold elections in 100 days. Another key demand being pushed by Moscow, which has repeatedly called for the Ukrainian leader to be toppled, while, of course, not having proper elections in Russia itself, unless you really think that Putin has the support of 88% of the Russian people, as the election supposedly showed last year, on a turnout that was supposed to be 77% of the electorate of the whole of Russia. Anybody believe that?
No.
And as a bonus for stopping the war it started, Russia would be reintegrated back into the global economy, freed from the burden of Western sanctions, and all parties will receive full amnesty for their actions during the war and agree not to make any claims or consider any complaints in the future. Well, I think there's only one side that would benefit from a full pardon for anything they did during the war that Putin started. On Thursday, European countries pushed back. The French Foreign Minister said peace cannot be capitulation. It's not capitulation, it's just Ukraine putting its hands in the air and giving in very strongly. What a way to run a planet, eh? Oh, that's the wrong one too. There you go. 0345 6060 973. Hayes. Jason.
Hello, Nick.
Yes, Jason.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
I am great, mate.
I hope you don't cut me off within 30 seconds.
Okay, all right. Well, if you make it to 30 seconds, I'll be surprised. Go ahead.
So will I. Yeah, well, I hope to keep you more.
Yes?
Good. Well, I just wanted to speak to you about really, you know, look, the things that are going on and that with Donald Trump and that. And I agree with what you say. But I actually listen with material. I don't mind if I don't think you'll like that very much.
You're a listener with material?
Yes.
Right, so...
I know you don't like it.
No, so this just got worse. What is the nature of this material?
But I must say, before I do the listen with material, I'd like to say to you that I've been listening to Nick and Carol.
Make it count, yes?
I've been listening to Nick and Carol and I've got up to the part where I didn't realise that you actually interviewed Kenny Everett.
Yes, I interviewed Kenny Everett a couple of times, back when I was a student. Mm-hmm. And you heard that on the Nick and Carol podcast?
Oh, right, yeah.
I did, actually, yeah. I was actually quite amused by that.
Right. Well, I think you need to do some catching up because you're about 100 episodes behind. Well, I wish you all the very best. Unfortunately, we have no further time for a listener with material. It's very, very sad how that works out. Thanks a lot, Jason. Good effort. He was talking about a podcast that I did with Carol McGiffin.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol, in which the delightful Carol McGiffin and I try to solve people's problems while laughing our faces off. If you have a problem, something you are concerned about, something you're always perhaps wondered about, an issue, a conundrum, something of that order, then simply send it to the unprofessionals at the following address: Nick and Carol at global.com. That is NICKANDCAROL at global.com. And prepare yourself for total satisfaction. Ask for it by name on an internet near you. What's your problem with Nick and Carol? And if you just want to put the misery of the world behind you and just check out mentally for a little while, then it'll be right up your alley. There's probably over 350 episodes there now, and that last caller is about 100 episodes behind, something like that. So he's got a lot of catching up to do. He's playing catch-up, like that bloke used to say on the telly. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk. If you're on WhatsApp, then it's the same number as the phone, 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10, Nick Abbott, LBC. It's 10:30, the news headlines with Tim Daly.
President Trump has said Ukraine will have to keep fighting against Russia if it doesn't like a new peace plan being supported by the White House. Volodymyr Zelensky has already said he will not betray his country's national interests. Vladimir Putin says he has reservations. A member of the BBC's board has resigned as the fallout continues over the editing of a speech by Donald Trump. Shumeet Banerjee says he wasn't consulted about events leading up to the resignation of the Director General. And the Prime Minister has been challenging Reform UK to begin an investigation into links with Russia. Nathan Gill, the party's former leader in Wales, has been jailed for taking bribes while a member of UKIP and the Brexit Party. LBC weather, cold for most areas to begin with overnight before outbreaks of rain and wind push southeast. It will remain chilly across the night in the southeast with a low of around 0 degrees.
LBC.
So, what's on your to-do list today? Why don't you check if you're eligible for pension credit? It tops up your pension income and also opens up help with heating bills, council tax, and more. Search pension credit on gov.uk or call 0800 99 1234. There's nothing to lose. Check today. Pension credit. Credit where credit's due. Eligibility criteria apply.
A Southern train is a place where you can wind down and catch up. A chance to let conversations flow and plans unfold. And swap doom scrolling for telling stories. Too good for the group chat. Make the journey part of the joy and save 1/3 with off-peak group tickets at southernrailway.com. Terms apply.
Join Andre Rieu at OVO Arena, Wembley, London on 18th of September. Book now at andrerieu.com.
When BP asked me to read the voiceover for their new Wild Bean Cafe ad, I thought I knew what to expect. But when they told me I'd be reading the script next to a mountain waterfall, on horseback, strumming a harp, in a hailstorm, naked, ow, 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 well, that was wildly unexpected. Just like Wild Bean Cafe having a freshly ground signature espresso blend for everything from Americanos to flat whites in a fuel station. Wowzers. Wild Bean Cafe. Only at BP. Subject to availability at selected BP stores only.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Have an outside line, please.
This text says, how many black markers do you think that Blotus in the White House used this week to redact his name from the Epstein files?
Don't be rude.
Gonna need a lot of ink. I don't know anything about him. I never met him, and I don't really know. Ahmed said the cold weather is killing all the trees and the grass. Do you know anyone who is an expert and knows more about grass than anybody else?
I know more about grass than any human being, I think, anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world. 0345 6060 973. Let's have Tavistock. Hello, Rose.
Oh, hello, Nick.
What, Rose?
Well, treachery seems to be all the rage at the moment, doesn't it?
It's in.
At least among the people we're looking forward to being the next government, especially.
Stop saying that.
Treachery, a game the whole party can play.
Nigel Farage is facing calls to investigate and root out links between Reform UK and Russia. Yeah, I'm sure he'll make it his top priority.
Under my leadership, the government's priorities are your priorities.
See? From that government to the future one. Yeah, they're all about priorities.
Well, talking of which, I think I've spotted a pattern just by hearing the various news reports on LBC, basically. And it is related to the first thing I said. But we seem to be under attack on two fronts. A pincer movement.
Yeah.
Or possibly three fronts. Number one, if we can lose our national broadcaster, the world's first broadcaster, at the behest of a foreign despot and Nigel Farage, we'll not White House, maybe with the odd handy hint from the Third Reich. Second, meanwhile...
Yeah, not really a thing anymore, but I understand what you're saying.
Meanwhile, Putin, kowtowed to by Donald, undermined by Nigel Farage,
Yeah, suspicious.
encroaches into Europe, Romania and Poland, and near our Scottish coastline, as well as Ukraine. You see what I mean? The pincer.
Yes, and all the while we're being hosed down by propaganda from either directly from the Russians or through their duped adversaries.
Yes, and then you know
I didn't mean adversaries. I was I sort of got stuck on the word duped, and the rest of the sentence sort of fell apart.
What did you mean then, if not adversaries? Sorry.
No, the amount of Russian propaganda that's coming directly from Russia via their bot accounts on social media is absolutely massive, but it is also being disseminated by those who you might think would be their adversaries, but actually aren't.
Oh, well, you see, this leads me to my final comment on this pincer movement that we seem to be under. Not that we were under a pincer movement in 1938, but one difference between now and the threat in 1938 is that then the Quislings were not ahead in the polls and set to be in power in government, ha-ha.
Yeah, I think that people have got to stop saying that, because it's not inevitable. I don't think that it's even likely. I just can't imagine that this country would ever do that. But then I didn't imagine that America would ever elect Donald Trump once. Never mind twice.
Don't be rude.
Well, yes, I do agree with you, and then I suppose it's just if you can't beat them, join them. I mean, it does seem extraordinary, doesn't it? The way they are. You know, the people who are betraying us, basically, on two fronts. but I do agree with this thing that if you keep saying something could happen, it makes it easier and easier and easier. Because this is what the whole thing started with the Farage business. I mean, it started 10 at least years ago with the BBC, but it's and I am pro-BBC, incidentally, as I've just made clear. But nonetheless, over a year ago, we started hearing, and it was on LBC, and I'm sure it's everywhere else, could Nigel Farage be Prime Minister? At a point when nobody had thought any such thing.
Well, it's been his future PM ship has been offshore billionaire press barons. And if you think that billionaire press barons have and your interests coincide, then I've got a genuine made-in-China Rolex watch I'd like to sell you.
Well, I should think so, because I haven't even got a garage and a shed, and I'm faffing about with these very, very expensive covers for my motorbike, and I'm obsessed with the idea that, you know, I've had it for 35 years, and I'm terrified it's just going to suddenly go kaput. No garage, no shed, because I'm not a billionaire, Nick. Sorry, that was a bit
I don't think shed ownership requires being a billionaire. I'm pretty sure that's not true. But I wish you all the luck with your coverall.
Thank you.
All right, cheers, Rose. 03. I wouldn't drive it in this weather. I'd park it till June, probably safe in June. Graham says, so the yellow-bellied coward in the White House is trying to force the Ukrainians to capitulate. If he succeeds, America should hang its head in shame. If this dangerous idiot gets a third term, we'll all be in deep peril. Well, if that dangerous idiot does get a third term, then I think it'll be a timeout for all of us. Game over. Let's do Virginia. Hello, Kim.
Hi, Nick. I have to tell you, I'll be so glad when Nigel Farage gets in, because then you'll leave our Donald alone. You'll have your own Donald to pick on.
Yeah, little mini-me.
Yes, you'll have your mini-me. It'll be wonderful. But I listen to you guys all the time, and I find it so humorous that how much you guys beat up on Donald. You should live here. You would love this country.
I've been to America. I spent about 10 months there, and I do love that country, but I wouldn't go there now.
Oh, yes, you
Where else can you go to Walmart with a gun strapped on your hip?
Well, that is true.
You're perfect.
Yeah.
We don't have the amount of stabbings. We just have school shootings.
Yeah, so. on a weekly basis, you have a mass shooting pretty much every day, such that it's not even news anymore. It's so frequent.
No. Nobody shot. You can buy pepper spray off of Amazon, tasers. It's great. This is great. God, guns, your country.
Yeah.
Don't live here.
No.
Don't dream it, Nick. Don't dream it. Be it. Live here.
It's not a dream. It's a nightmare, Kim, and you're living in it. And I wish you all the best. Duck and cover. Run from your car to your house in a crouched position. Yeah, I would wear camouflage always. You just never know. I wish you the best of luck, Kim. Josie says, have you ever just heard a snippet of a song which has then driven you mad? As you know it. As you know, you know it. Oh, you know it. This happened to me in the week. Just caught the first 3 bars of a song and it drove me bananas for about 30 minutes. Kept humming them to myself when I had the light bulb moment. A song I've not heard for years. It was David Bowie singing Sorrow.
Rock and roll!
Love that track. Oh, by the way, the original Ding-a-Ling movie is on tonight at 11 o'clock. Deliverance with the banjo-plucking hillbillies. The banjo-plucking hillbillies. You sure do have a pretty mouth, boy. That one. Yeah. Richard in West Sussex says, did you manage to make it to the Aussie Pink Floyd show when it was in London? No, I did not. No. I'm just not really very interested in tribute bands. Because I just listen to thinking, one that is currently not remaining. Could have been that much. A load of times, so I'm not in one of seeing some special defects, which I'm sure are a lot better with the Pink Floyd than they are with some tribute band. But I do hear good things about them. Although I've had a freebie, I might think about it, but only think about it. Matt says, hi Nick, the COVID inquiry has reported that regarding Boris Johnson, we should leave him alone because he was doing his best. Yeah. Oh, God, well, I'll get into that as well. Stuff that happened this week. Brickhouse, Colin.
Hello there, Nick.
Colin.
Good evening. I must say that I really chuckled at Rose. She did a good job.
Yes.
She did. I'd like to say that it's funny that Putin and Trump are so close. Tonight is the fact that Putin and Trump seem to be ruling the world. We pay millions of pounds to be a member of an organisation called the UN that was set up after the Second World War. And I can remember incidents in the world when there were issues in aid, we sent in the Blue Helmet. When there were issues in Cyprus, we sent in the Blue Helmet. Now, where are they going? What is the rest of the world doing? I think part of the problem is that the 5 nations, no matter what anyone is concerned about, China, Russia, and other things, we and France, we can just put a veto on and stop anything.
Hundreds of English-language websites, from mainstream news outlets to fringe blogs, are linking to articles from a pro-Kremlin network flooding the internet with disinformation. This is according to a study released by a London-based think tank. God, wouldn't it be marvellous to be able to think in a tank? Security experts have expressed fears in recent months that Russia is trying to seed chatbots, such as ChatGPT and Gemini, with pro-Russia narratives by feeding them huge volumes of disinformation in a process called LLM grooming. That's large language... What's the M stand for? Large language media? No. Large language... I bet my glamorous assistant knows. LLM? Large language model. Correct, Amundo. Because these large language models, these artificial... Oh, have you seen artificial intelligence? It is fantastic, isn't it? No. It can make a still picture move. It's amazing. And if they gain their intelligence by just sweeping all of the information from the internet that it can, and taking an average, and that's probably what is true-ish. But if Russia is feeding the internet vast amounts of disinformation, then it will hoover all that up and adjust its results accordingly. The Pravda network is what they call it. It's been around since 2014, but researchers tracking its output say that the number of articles it churns out has surged up this year, up to 23,000 articles a day were published in May. 23,000 a day.
What?
Yeah. Last year it was 6,000 a day. Now it's 23,000. So they're really going for it. It's unclear what led to this increase. This is The Guardian. But some disinformation experts believe it was an effort to push large amounts of pro-Russia content into the training data sets of AI models, which use massive amounts of data during their training and scrape content from the entire internet. Yeah, they're flooding the zone. Studies from earlier this year showed that popular chatbots at times repeated Russian disinformation in response to certain queries. Well, who does that remind you of? I'm a nutcase. Yeah. Researchers at the ISD, God, what's that? Oh, this think tank, the Institute for Strategic Dialogue. They say their findings indicate Pravda Network's high-volume strategy is working. More than any other Russia-aligned operation, the Pravda Network is playing a numbers game, says a senior researcher there. He says they've saturated the internet ecosystem enough to get it in front of real people who are doing research on Russia-related issues. Yeah, absolutely. And it's also flooded the social media sites. I mean, I can only speak of the artist formerly known as Twitter, because it's the only one I use. But that's become such a cesspit of reactionary bile, badly spelled and phrased in English, which just doesn't seem to be the poster's first language. I mean, it's all demented, swivel-eyed posts supporting lunatic fringes of right-wingery from anonymous accounts with 3 followers and an official blue tick. And just because it's a tick doesn't make it right. It's all... The Russians. Russia. Or Russia. 0345 6060 973 LBC.
Sunday with Lewis Goodall.
Again, I think that the pre-budget period has been, again, pretty damaging for Starmer and for Rachel Reeves. If Reeves had gone ahead with an increase of income tax and thereby broken the Labour manifesto pledge, whatever sort of neat trick you tried to pull off, cute trick you tried to pull off with NI, I think it would have been politically catastrophic. I think it would have been damaging for politics itself, because you shouldn't make those sorts of promises if you're not absolutely sure that you're going to make them.
Sunday with Lewis Goodall. Sunday morning from 10. Listen on our free Global Player app or the new LBC app.
How's the business going? We're busier than ever, but struggling to get the staff we need. Recruiting can be such a distraction. We gave Job Centre Plus a try, and they've really helped us out. Really? Yeah, it was dead easy. We got our own employment advisor, Julie, who helped advertise our jobs, shortlisted candidates for us, and let us interview at the Job Centre. We've hired some great people, and Job Centre Plus really took the hassle out of it, and there was no fee. Brilliant. That's straight on my to-do list.
Find out more at business.gov.uk/recruits. Eligibility criteria apply.
Welcome on board this LNER service from London King's Cross to Edinburgh. My name's Paul, your train manager today, and hang on. It's that Scrabble tournament in Coach here. Yes, G with an X is a word. Right, we're cruising at 125 miles per hour. Same speed this lad next to me is typing. Someone's on a roll. The cafe bar's in Coach G if you fancy a brew. Or if you're mid-box set binge, just order through the QR code of your seat. We'll deliver it. So sit back and enjoy your journey. With LNER, it's freedom all the way.
Hurry! Extra savings in Hillary's best ever Black Friday sale ends soon. Until the 2nd of December, get an extra 10% off absolutely everything. That's on top of up to 50% off hundreds of made-to-measure blinds, curtains and shutters. Plus, control your blinds from anywhere with a half-price smart hub when you buy any electric blind. Don't forget, with Hillary's, measuring and fitting is always included. So get window-wise and book your free in-home appointment today at hillarys.co.uk. Conditions apply.
At Laithwaite's, we go to great lengths to bring you great wine. We go far and wide. Searching high, and we mean really high. And low, and we mean stored deep underground in a cave low. Off the shelf? We don't go there. Off the beaten track? We certainly go there. And the best bit is, we even come to you. Order now at laithwaites.co.uk. Laithwaite's. We stop at nothing to bring you great wine.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Oh, you wouldn't. Andy says the Arctic's powerful upper-level wind system, often called the polar vortex wall, is showing signs of weakening, raising concerns across the northern hemisphere. This circulation normally blocks in air colder than minus 60 degrees at the North Pole, but when it destabilizes, that intense Arctic air can spill southwards like a broken barrier, triggering rapid temperature drops far from the polar region. Early indicators suggest this is weakening, and it has already begun, hinting that an unusually severe winter may be approaching.
Oh, no.
Yeah, well, that's not the first time I've heard that, actually. I was talking to an weather expert on my Sunday show a couple of weeks ago, and he said pretty much the same thing. He said,
Warning, warning.
Yeah. Ian from Beaconsfield says, please tell Nige I'm far more patriotic than he is. I've just started wearing my poppy for next year. I'm also festooning my Christmas tree with Union Jack baubles, and on top an angel bearing an uncanny resemblance to Princess Kate. God save the king, says Ian. Croydon, hello Mary.
Hello.
Mary.
I enjoy your programs. I'm a long time listener. I just wanted to say you possibly thought, because you seem to know everything, but Nick Farage attended Dulwich College.
Nigel Farage.
Nigel, yeah. Sorry. Oh, I beg your pardon. Yes, he did. And I was reading on The Guardian yesterday, lots of his classmates and that gave comments that he used to do the Nazi salute there, and he was bully. Nobody liked him, and he was constantly critical and bullying other chaps.
Right. Well, I've got the story in front of my face. It's the hectoring tone, the jeering quality in Farage's voice today that brings it all back from Peter Etedjui. He would sidle up to me and growl, Hitler was right, or gas them, sometimes adding a long hiss to simulate the sound of the gas showers, Etedjui says. His experience of being in a class with Farage at Dulwich College in South London.
Oh, I didn't see that now today, but yes, it's incredible, isn't it? He's still just as awful.
Etedjui is a BAFTA and Emmy-winning director and producer whose credits include Kinky Boots, McQueen and Superman the Christopher Reeve story. Back then he was a 13-year-old boy at loss as to how to handle what he describes as a sudden and inexplicable intrusion of anti-Semitism into his life.
Yeah.
This is the first time Etedjui has spoken in such detail of his alleged experiences, but he's not the only one. In recent weeks, The Guardian heard allegations from more than a dozen school contemporaries of Farage who recount incidents of deeply offensive behaviour throughout his teenage years.
Yeah, I read it in The Guardian because I have The Guardian on my phone every morning. Things be going out if the weather is bad.
Right. Yeah, you can see pictures of the weather outside. No end of them.
Exactly. Just need to go out. But it's it's actually amazing to me that he's never had any, what they'd say in Ireland, cop on before he matured. because his job's as bad now as he was then, I think.
Right. Well, I don't know what cop on means, but leave it to me and I'll try and guess. My mind is all of a spin. Thanks a lot, Mary. Cheers, my dear. 0345 6060 973. It goes, in recent weeks, The Guardian has heard allegations from more than a dozen school contemporaries of Farage who recount incidents of deeply offensive behaviour throughout his teenage years. This is not the whole picture. Others who knew Farage then remember he was bumptious, rude, provocative, and enjoyed being the centre of attention, but do not recall the behaviour described by Etedrui and others. There is no claim that Farage the man must still hold the same views as the one described to Farage the boy, but their memories of him left marks, ones that haven't dissolved with the passage of time and are often revealed again when he talks about issues such as immigration. Well, it would have disappeared with the passage of time had he not been on a blooming TV screens so very, very much. I mean, they would have just forgotten about him like all of their other classmates. Matt says, I've been in Scotland for the last few days and there are suddenly lots of 20-mile-an-hour zones. Apparently they've all appeared in the last month or so. Do you know who's been complaining about it? Absolutely nobody. It'd take you more time to complain about the lower speed limit than the time you lose while travelling as a result of the lower speed limits, says Matt. Yeah. Yeah, it's just more pleasant when cars drive at 20 mile an hour. The only problem I would say with that is that some cars don't function very well driving at 20 mile an hour, a lot. Mine being one of them. I was going behind somebody who was driving at... OK, they were going at 15, which is just ridiculous through the centre of London. I mean, why? It was doing my head in. I mean, I almost resorted to beeping my horn. If I wasn't so scared, I'd have done it. Don't you think that I wouldn't? But it's just a mile after mile after mile going at 15 mile an hour, and eventually my car just sort of almost gave up, and it started flashing warnings at me.
Warning, warning!
It said, stop driving so slow, you idiot. Didn't actually say that. It said, it did tell me to stop driving so slowly, but you can continue. Your car is overheating. I think my transmission was overheating because it was being forced to drive at 15 mile an hour, which it did not like. Didn't sit well with it. So some cars are like that. If you've got an electric car, I'm sure no problemo. But petrol, or I would imagine diesel, they don't really like it very much. So don't drive at 15, drive at 20. Because 15 is too slow. I mean, it just is. Mitcham, hello, Leroy. Oh, Leroy, yeah. I've just seen what time it is. Can I come to you after the news?
Yeah, sure.
Unless you want to be very, very brief.
No, come back after the news. I've got a few things to say.
Uh-oh. Well, that sounds like a threat. He's going to come back after the news because he's got a few things to say. Caroline says, cold weather is bliss. You can run around without getting too hot and tired, and it wakes up the mind. Don't think that that's true. It wakes up the body, but it doesn't necessarily wake up the mind, does it? My mind goes into, well, it sort of stops working when I get cold, because all I can think of is I'm cold. If it's anything below, let's say, 74 degrees Fahrenheit, then I'm feeling a bit of chill in the air, and I am not functioning at my maximum. 74, 75 degrees, something like that. Any colder than that, and it's hat, coat, scarf and gloves while I'm sitting indoors. And don't even get me started on how many layers of merino wool I'm wearing. I think I've got a whole sheep on me. 0345 6060 973. You can text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you are on WhatsApp, then it's the same number as the phone. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC.
On your radio, on the LBC app, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 11 o'clock. The Prime Minister is due to meet Ukraine's allies tomorrow to discuss the new US drafted plan to end the Ukraine war. Sir Keir Starmer says the group in South Africa will be looking at how they can strengthen the proposals ahead of what he's calling the next phase of negotiations. Concerns are being raised because the measures are thought to include Kyiv surrendering territory and reducing the size of its military. But the Professor of Political Science, Grant Rieher, has been telling LBC he is not overly optimistic.
It's hard for me to imagine, given the positions of Russia and Ukraine, that there will be anything like a peace. I think we would have to call it an extended ceasefire or a relatively permanent ceasefire.
A government minister has told LBC there should be an investigation at Reform UK to ensure there are no links with Russia. The party's former leader in Wales, Nathan Gill, has been jailed for more than 10 years for taking bribes. He was a member of the Brexit Party and UKIP at the time. A member of the BBC's board has resigned, blaming what he's called governance issues at the top of the corporation. Shumit Banerjee says he wasn't consulted during the lead-up to the resignation of its Director General and Head of News. LBC's Fraser Knight says the BBC could find itself in the news again over the next few days.
Next week, we're expecting members of the board to be hauled before MPs to answer questions too around allegations of systemic issues, including around the coverage of Israel and Gaza's conflict and the issues of sex and gender. A BBC spokesperson telling us tonight, though, that Shumit Banerjee's term on the board was due to end at the end of December.
Nigeria's Christian Association says gunmen have abducted more than 200 children after attacking a Catholic boarding school. It's also thought a dozen teachers were seized in the western region of the country. The Chancellor is facing new pressure from farmers over inheritance tax on their land and businesses. Ahead of next week's budget, the National Farmers Union says Rachel Reeves cannot keep taxing businesses into the ground. It also wants the government to provide greater stability for its members. And in sport this evening, Blackburn have beaten Preston 2-1 in the Championship's Lancashire Derby this evening. Rovers are now 16th in the table, while North End remain in 4th place. LBC weather: cold for most areas to begin with overnight, before outbreaks of rain and wind push southeastwards across the country, remaining chilly in the southeast, with a low there of around 0 degrees. From Global's newsroom, for LBC, I'm Tim Daly.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
This is absolute tosh. Hi, Annie. How are you?
I'm super. Thanks for asking. Alex says, if, a very rude word for Donald Trump, believes a female journalist to be a pig, then what on earth does that make him? As amusing as his desperation to avoid Epstein is, though, what is not amusing is his total sycophancy towards evil Dobby. Evil Dobby. He's talking about you, Vlad. Don't walk past any high windows, Alex. And definitely do not get on a plane, ever. Mitcham, hello, Leroy.
Yes, one love, Nick.
Yes, sir.
Yes, if you think this is bad weather we have in here, Jamaica has been hit with Hurricane Melissa, Category 5. Devastated half the country.
Yes.
That is what you call bad weather.
That is bad weather, yes.
Yes.
Not what we've got going on here now. This is just a completely normal winter's day.
Just a normal, not even winter yet.
Well, it's a little bit chilly outside, Leroy. Stick your head outside and you'll see exactly how cold it is.
I've been out there. It's a bit like Brass Monkey, yes.
A little bit,
all
yeah.
right. This about immigration with Shabana Mahmood, about settlers who come here have to have a degree in English or have to earn a certain amount of... Yeah.
They have to speak English, not necessarily have a degree in it, surely.
No, that's what she said.
A degree?
A-level standard.
Oh, that's not a degree.
Well, she said either degree or A-level standard.
Right.
That's what... Have you not been up to date with the news, Nick?
I've been up to date with much of the news, but not specifically that detail.
Well, that's what she's saying.
But not a degree, though. A-level is not a degree. Basically, you just have to speak English. That's the thing, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the word on the street, these youths now are speaking Jamaican patois, one love and wagwan, and jerk chicken and all them things. Like,
Yeah, rice and peas, I know.
rice and peas and all them things, that's what I said,
Yeah.
Nick. So, you know, I don't know what you're going with. That is the word on the street. And another thing as well.
And another thing.
When the white European settlers went to the USA,
Yeah.
they didn't have to do all them things there. What did the natives tell them? They said the white man speak with forked tongue.
Forked tongue, yeah.
You know that saying?
Yeah, I've seen I've seen cowboys and Indians movies. Of course, you're not allowed to say that anymore. I've seen Western movies.
And I'll tell you what, you know what we say in Jamaica, you know all these flags flying about and all that, and the rain and the thing and the tone and all that. In Jamaica we say they are airing out their dirty cloths in public.
Right. Well, we say that here too, except not precisely like that.
Yeah, but that's what they're doing.
Airing out their dirty clothes in public.
They're dirty cloth, them say in Jamaica.
Right. Well, I say clothes, you say clot. Let's call the whole thing off.
Yes, that's the way it go, you know. I saw it go now. So the word on the street is patois, it's not English.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's one love and jerk chicken and wagwan, Nick.
And, rice and peas.
And rice and peas.
Yeah.
Things are right round here, you know.
All right. Okay, good talking to you, Leroy. Legalise it.
Yeah, more time.
All right. Thanks a lot, mate. 0345 6060 973. I'm just throwing in Peter Tosh songs now, just as they occur to me. David Paul says, Nick, so a man sentenced to 10 years in prison for being paid by Russia to push pro-Russian propaganda in the European Parliament was described by Gasbag Farage as a decent, loyal man. Yeah, just a decent, loyal man.
The Russians. Russia. Russia. Russia.
Russia, Russia, Russia. Russia, Russia, Russia. Varun says, I've just landed in Sao Paulo. It's sunset and a lovely 30 degrees centigrade. Yes, thank you, Varun, but we don't wish to know that. Blooming freezing over here. It's like winter outside. Hackney. Hello, Gabriel.
Evening, Nick. Yeah, it is a bit slippy underfoot, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the gritters have been out near me. Cars are being pinged by little stones. It's chaos.
Exactly. Yeah, and you're being told by the announcements on the rail network to please take care when standing or walking or climbing stairs or getting on or getting off trains. They just keep telling us this stuff all the time. Please take a bottle of water with you at all times. Please take caution. It's been raining outside. The ground may be slippy.
Well, normally in the summer, it's like, bring a handheld fan. I kid you not, Nick. I was on the train. I was on the train this evening. A bloke on the Underground was using a fan. I was like, Nick,
Are you talking about an electric fan or one that you snap open like a lady at Versailles?
No, an electric one that kind of sounds like a wasp is behind your ear. Yeah.
It can't possibly have been warm.
Oh, Nick, honestly, I was looking at him like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
But I'd have to say that if you're on the tube and somebody is doing something strange, then I'm looking at them is probably your first mistake.
Warning, warning.
Don't look at them, don't make eye contact, just smile sweetly and back slowly out of the tube, onto the platform. Doesn't matter if it's the station that you're going for, just leave the train immediately.
Kind of a thing, isn't there, in big cities, like, if someone's going crazy, you can tell the people that don't live in that city are the ones that look and turn and observe and often want to go up to them and say, you're all right. It's like, no. My mum, for instance, no, we don't talk to that person. We carry on walking.
Yeah.
You were talking about 20 miles an hour just now. I mean, it's just so much nicer to, especially in London, it's easier to walk around, cycle, even drive. It's much more pleasant. But whenever I leave London and go into towns and stuff, they're very much not acquitted for pedestrianisation and cycling because it's just not very advertising to do so. Because people, if a road's 30, right, most people drive at 35, 37.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this kind of argument whenever I'm in a black cab with a cabbie. You know, if you say 20 mile an hour, you can see their blood pressure raising to their faces. And I always say, well, you're doing 24 in a 20. If this road was 30, I'm pretty confident you'd be doing 35, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I don't sit there and take it. I mean, I used to, but these days, if somebody's driving badly, I tell them. You know, like I was in If I was in a cab and somebody was tailgating the car ahead, I mean, it was just right on his tail, doing 30 in, I would imagine it was a 30 zone, and he just did not leave this guy alone, like right up against him. And you know, if I'm hiring him to drive me, then I should be the one who determines how the car is driven. I'm not. He's not doing me a favour. I'm paying him. So I pulled him up. I said, "You're a terrible driver. You should not be driving, and I'm not giving you a tip."
And what did they say?
He was stunned. Couldn't. He couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I think he came out with, "Oh no." The chap who said, well, I've never had a crash, was one who was, and I'm not making this up, he had a drink in one hand, he had the phone in the other, and he was trying to buy tickets online while he was driving me, steering with his knees.
Mobile phone use when driving, it's a massive red flag. I don't think people realise how 2 seconds of not observing the road can be lethal. Anyway, I was pivoting.
I think you missed the part about he was buying tickets on a phone and driving with his knees. Yes, that's an important part. Yeah, and I questioned him about this, and he got irate and said, "Well, I've never had a crash." Probably seen hundreds of them in his rearview mirror.
Yeah, well, talking about 20 miles an hour, there's another one, like LTNs and bus gates and stuff, you know, like when the road is closed between, 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. I live on one, and it's very pleasant for the residents that live in it. But there's one example I've got for you. It's Stoke Newington Church Street in Hackney in London. There was a big uproar that, closing the roads to cars will close businesses down.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of research or a bit of homework, and some people did a survey, some research, and they found that in the first 6 months of this road being closed to car traffic and just open for bikes, buses and pedestrians, credit card sales in all of the stores tripled.
Wow. How did you find that out?
It was just on a YouTube video. I mean, it was like a pro cycling pedestrian one, but it was like they were the stats. They obtained the credit, the data from MasterCard and Visa, and
Well, it makes perfect sense to me. I mean, you know, when a person gets out of their car, they become a pedestrian. And being a pedestrian is a much more pleasant a prospect if the cars going by you are going at 20.
Oh, sorry, Nick, my girlfriend's ringing me. I'm going to have to decline that. Sorry.
You're going to decline a call from your girlfriend?
I'm persevering, Nick, persevering.
Right.
You were saying, pedestrian.
You'll have a lot of explaining to do later on.
I know.
Who are you talking to? Oh, am I supposed to believe that? She'll say.
A couple more points, Nick, real quick, if I've got time. Nigel Flagovich, do you reckon he's got much uproar about Warwick County Council? She's ringing me again. Stop that.
Wow. Maybe you should take the call on the air. I'll speak to her. No, don't do that.
As I was saying, do you reckon Nigel Flagovich, with the Warwickshire County Council, unpatriotically removing flags for Christmas?
They remove flags for Christmas? I can't believe it. I bet His Majesty the King is furious about that because, well, I don't really know. It's just so utterly silly and ridiculous, all this preposterous flag waving. These silly people.
That brings a tear to my eye, that anthem. Yeah.
I know why they do it, though, because they feel like they've joined a gang, and it's safety in numbers, and they feel like they're part of something, part of a movement. They feel important. They feel as though they're being listened to for the first time in their life. They're actually doing something that gets other people's attention. That's why they're doing it. It's fun and it's exciting, and those are the only reasons.
Well, the councillor, he's that 19-year-old lad who kind of got lumbered into the role. He did this video trying to explain himself, you know, we can't put the lights up unless we take the flags down. So he was like, what we'll do is we'll take them down and then you can come and collect them.
Right.
And then when Christmas is over, you can put them back up again. It's like, who wants to put up a soggy grey Union Jack flag that's been tied on a telephone pole and has gone through all seasons? It's going to be rank.
And you should only be allowed to reclaim your flag if you can describe it in detail.
Mine's not the one with the zip ties through it, and
Right. Glad to hear it. And now the difficult part, Gabriel. You're going to have to call her back.
Yeah, awkward.
Yeah, okay. we'll see. Or rather, you will. 0345 6060 973 LBC.
This is LBC.
Signora, are you ready to order?
Yes, I'd like... Oh, hang on, that's my Ring security camera. Look, there's a man with a black dog in my front garden. Oh, not again. Oi, Len! Go and do your business somewhere else. And the same goes for your dog. Always know who's at your door with Ring. The Ring Black Friday sale is on now. Unlock epic savings with up to 50% off security cameras, 60% off video doorbells, and so much more. Head to ring.com today. Ends 2nd of December.
How's the business going? We're busier than ever, but struggling to get the staff we need. Recruiting can be such a distraction. We gave Job Centre Plus a try, and they've really helped us out. Really? Yeah, it was dead easy. We got our own employer advisor, Julie, who helped advertise our jobs, shortlisted candidates for us, and let us interview at the Job Centre. We've hired some great people, and Job Centre Plus really took the hassle out of it, and there was no fee.
Brilliant. That's straight on my to-do list.
Find out more at business.gov.uk/recruit. Eligibility criteria apply.
Calling all young creatives. It's time to get prepped for the art and design industry. And where better than Global Academy? Here's Keo, an art and design student in Year 12.
As an art student, we get the chance to work on our own pieces, either in the studio or using the digital software. Some of my work has also been shown in galleries, and last week I got the chance to attend a design agency to learn more about my future career.
Global Academy. Apply now and join us in Years 10 or 12. globalacademy.com.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
Hello, boys.
0345 6060 973. Matt says Dickie Tice thinks autistic children wearing ear defenders is woke. Weird, because every time I see him come on the telly, which is far too often, I also immediately reach for my ear defenders. If reform were the answer, I dread to think what the question is. Reform UK's deputy leader, says The Independent, Richard Tice, has controversially described children wearing ear defenders in school as insane. At a Westminster press conference on Monday, Tice outlining Reform's Doge unit, their progress, in inverted commas, progress, warned of a crisis in the special education needs and disabilities system. He asserted that if this remains unresolved, there will be no bins collected, which sounds like a threat. He said that there is a crisis of over-diagnosis of children with neurodiversive issues. Oh, he is an expert then. Like Donald Trump. He's a doctor.
I'm not a doctor.
Asked what reform can do to tackle this, he said the best thing to do is actually push almost all of it back to the schools. The schools know best, the teachers know best. And stop labelling people. Just say you need a bit of extra support, you might need a bit of extra time. You've got into this mad situation now where children who don't have any form are labelled, any form of label are starting to feel left out. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Don't vote for reform. It's dangerous. They're a mad, bad, far-right, racist party.
If you say so, Nige. Oh, by the way, speaking of war...
I'll bring us into war.
Here's the headline in the Mail Online. Why nuclear war is closer than ever. That's the chilling verdict of historian Seri Ploki, who reveals the 40 countries which could blow the world apart and the time bomb that could trigger ash-flecked annihilation. But it's behind a paywall, so you'll have to pay to read the story.
Oh, no.
Now you'll never know. Ash-flecked annihilation. Why are the papers trying to make us fear an imminent nuclear war? I mean, it's virtually on a daily basis now. Somebody doesn't predict that the end of humankind as we know it is just around the corner. that Vlad has got this rocket that can go this speed, and China is building its defences and attack capability up, and the North Koreans are on the case to kill us all, and it's like constant. Why are they trying to make us fearful about the annihilation of all we hold dear, the ash-flecked annihilation of the human race? Curious. Chaz says it's coldest 1 hour after dawn during cold spells. Meteorological fact. And then, as though to underline the point, he's given a thumbs up emoji. as though that means anything. It's coldest 1 hour after dawn during cold spells. I very much doubt it. Why would that be? Because the sun would have been up for an hour, thereby warming of some sort would have taken place, you would think. It's like it's darkest just before dawn? No, it isn't. It's just by comparison to dawn, it might seem darker. Mike in I hope you're writing this stuff down, kids. Mike in Canterbury says, last caller saying 16 needs a new barometer unless he was calling from the North Pole. Oh, okay, that was the guy from, was it Sweden? He said minus 16. Minus 16 needs a new barometer unless he was calling from the North Pole. Well, he was calling from Sweden, so what's the difference? Blooming freezing up there. Martin in Perth says, 3 calls, 3 nutters. Keep it up. I blame the I blame the presenter. Yeah, well, I was listening to Rachel's show, and she seemed to have more of her fair share of type callers. So maybe there's something in the air. But look at that switchboard now. I certainly have got rid of them. Josh says, is there a party I wasn't invited to? All your callers so far seem to have been enjoying too many libations. Booze. Yeah, I thought so too. A little bit, Well, maybe it's a function of the weather. You look outside and you think, nah, I'll just stay in and get hammered. And call Nick Abbott. Yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Paddy in Swiss Cottage says, Yould, Y-O-U-L-D, you would, maybe, be wonderful this winter to start an LBC dating show. That makes no sense. You would be wonderful this winter to start a LBC dating show. God, can you imagine? How many more of these have I got? Oh, my God, so many. People just communicate with their thumbs these days. No speaky with mouthy. Tom in Dublin says, greetings from Dublin. That could be the worst selection of calls to kick the show off. Were they all AI? It was absolutely bizarre. And you weren't wrong. There were some mad delays. Still enjoyable all the same. He says, thank God, here's Jeff. Giving us a Welsh update, mate. What time is it? Oh, there it is. Griff in you're going to have to call me because I'm not going to just read your messages out for 3 hours. This is not Nick reads your messages out. You've got to speak them. Stop communicating with your thumbs, for crying out loud. The whole human race is going to have its mouth seal over through lack of use. Griffin Eltham says it's comforting to see that Kensington and Chelsea Council is looking into Peter Mandelson's urinating against a wall after having a dinner with his friend, and is now looking at a £300 fine in considering Epstein and George Osborne as being friends. Okay, it made sense up until in considering Epstein and George Osborne as being friends. That part don't make no sense. But they're thinking of a £300 fine? Well, they should do. Absolutely. Terrible. He urinated in public.
Disgusting.
After going to George Osborne. You know George Osborne, don't you? Boo! Yes, that's the fella. Went to George Osborne's house carrying a luxury bottle of wine. God, wouldn't it be marvellous to be able to drink a luxury bottle of wine? And then he came out, and maybe George Osborne doesn't have toilets over at his place. Or, as I said at the time, maybe Peter Mandelson listened to Fanny Craddock. Fanny said it's very non-you to go to the loo in other people's houses. I heard her say that with her own mouth. What a ridiculous thing to say. It's very non-you to go to the loo, as in not upper-class behaviour, to go to the loo in other people's houses. What are you supposed to do? Just hold it in, like, for the entire time you're there? Well, you might explode. Then they'll be sorry that you didn't go to the loo in other people's houses. But no, rather than doing that, he relieved himself outside on somebody else's house. Shocking. Nick in Abbots Langley says, does Trump not realise he looks like Miss Piggy himself? Well, I'm pretty sure that that's not what the mirror on the wall tells him. I'm pretty sure that it tells him he is the fairest of them all. I'll get to that in a minute. There's so much to talk about. Detroit, Roland.
Nick, how are you?
I am great, mate.
I just got to say, right, it absolutely 100% gets colder an hour after sunrise in the morning. We discuss it every morning at work because it gets colder. And I was literally looking it up on the temperature for tomorrow morning here in Detroit. And the sunrise is at 34 and at 7 a.m. it's 32. As I was looking it up, you said it on the radio.
Well, I don't believe it. Why would that be?
I don't know. I don't know. But it's an absolute fact.
You don't know anything about it, but it doesn't prevent you from having a strong opinion. Well, okay. I'm looking at the weather right now. This is for.
But look at Detroit. Look at the weather for Detroit tomorrow morning, right?
I will do nothing of the sort. I'm looking at the weather for where I'm sitting right now, and it's going to be 8 degrees at 5. And 8 degrees at 6, so it's the same.
But when's sunrise? It's not 6 a.m.
Well, nobody knows that.
It should say it right on the whatever app you're using.
Well, it should say it, yeah. But unfortunately, here we go. Wait, I've got it. Listen to. Wait a minute, I've got it. It's 7:27. 7:27. So at.
So what time? What's the temperature at 7 a.m.?
8. And what's the time at 8? And what's the temperature at 8? 8.
Well, I'm telling you, in Detroit, tomorrow morning at sunrise it's 34. Mm-hmm. This is Fahrenheit. Yeah. And then at 7 a.m. it's 32. And it happens nearly like every morning. Every morning we're like, it got colder, even when the sun's coming up.
But that doesn't make no sense. Unless there's some sort of...
I know it doesn't. I know. There's some things in this life just don't make sense, Nick. Yeah, like why am I talking to you on the radio now when I do my own show on Monday night?
Most of this show hasn't made any sense to me so far, and I'm the host. Even I don't understand what's going on here. All right, thanks for the update there, Roland. I wish you all the best. Unless there's some sort of wind involved, unless the wind goes from cold to warm, and just because it's a cold wind, then it plunges the temperature, then otherwise that don't make no sense. Not to me. Lauren says, can you ask Jeff from Wales if he could do a book reading channel, the best voice and brain on the radio? Says Lauren, which I think is a savage swipe at me. Woke Will... inverted commas, colon. I get the feeling any document from the Epstein files that mentions Fat Vader will be branded as a fake and a witch hunt by the Rebel Alliance Democrats. Even when they're writing it down, it doesn't make no sense. I mean, I can understand when they're saying it to me, it not make sense. But, you have a while to think about what you've written before you hit send, or at least I hope you do. You don't just scribble any old nonsense that comes out of your brain and then send it over to me, do you? Do you? Martin in Loughborough says, Ni hao, Nick. I don't know which language that is. I'm pretty sure it's not English. He says, I think I heard a caller compare Trump's complexion with... Oh, can't say that. No. Moving on, James says... Some people get jailed for 10 years for pushing Russian propaganda, and others go ahead in the polls. It's a funny old world we live in. It certainly is, James, but not in a good way. Not funny ha-ha, just funny weird. And Brendan says, very disappointed in your Christmas presents or postcards after hearing what Traitor Gill received. You can cancel Crimbo this year, not happy socks and a chocolate orange. You see what I'm saying? Absolutely no sense whatsoever. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email. Is there something in the air today? Because I didn't detect it on the roads. Normally you get a sense that people are a little bit crazy on the roads, but maybe just the cold pushed the really crazy ones indoors. And from that location, they are then communicating with me. And to be fair, Rachel before me, she had quite the lineup of callers there on her show. I mean, I'm used to it. It must have come as quite a shock to Rachel. But I didn't detect that there was something in the air when I was driving here, but I certainly have detected it now I've been sitting down for a while. 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nick@lbc.co.uk. If you are on WhatsApp, it's the same number as the phone. 0345 6060 973. Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. Nick Abbott, LBC. It's 11:30. The news headlines with Tim Daly.
It's expected the Prime Minister will meet Ukraine's allies tomorrow to discuss the new US plan drafted to end the Ukraine war. Sir Keir Starmer says the group in South Africa will be looking at how they can strengthen the proposals. The Chancellor is facing new pressure from farmers over inheritance tax on their land and businesses. Ahead of next week's budget, the National Farmers Union says Rachel Reeves cannot keep taxing businesses into the ground. And Nigeria's Christian Association says gunmen have abducted more than 200 children after attacking a Catholic boarding school. A dozen teachers are also thought to have been seized in the western region of the country. LBC weather: cold for most areas of the UK to begin with overnight before outbreaks of rain and wind push southeast. It will stay chilly in the southeast and we'll see a low of around 0 degrees.
This is LBC.
How's the business going? We're busier than ever, but struggling to get the staff we need. Recruiting can be such a distraction. We gave Job Centre Plus a try, and they've really helped us out. Really? Yeah, it was dead easy. We got our own employer advisor, Julie, who helped advertise our jobs, shortlisted candidates for us, and let us interview at the Job Centre. We've hired some great people, and Job Centre Plus really took the hassle out of it, and there was no fee.
Brilliant. That's straight on my to-do list.
Find out more at business.gov.uk/recruit. Eligibility criteria apply.
Waitrose presents
I really fancy a mince pie.
one man's selfless journey from sofa to kitchen.
I'm getting up.
For a #1 golden mince pie with juicy golden raisins, cherries and apricots, and zesty limoncello.
With some cream.
For a #1 golden mince pie with juicy golden raisins, cherries and apricots, zesty limoncello, and a dollop of fresh cream.
Limoncello.
Waitrose, the home of food lovers. Selected stores subject to availability.
When BP asked me to read the voiceover for their new Wild Bean Cafe ad, I thought I knew what to expect. But when they told me I'd be reading the script next to a mountain waterfall, on horseback, strumming a harp, in a hailstorm, naked, ow, 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 well, that was wildly unexpected. Just like Wild Bean Cafe having a freshly ground signature espresso blend for everything from Americanos to flat whites in a fuel station. Wowzers. Wild Bean Cafe, only at BP. Subject to availability at selected BP stores only.
Nick Abbott on LBC. Call 0345 6060 973.
I would say he's incompetent, but I don't want to do that because that's not nice.
Thanks for being nice, Donny. You're the nicest person who has ever lived. Believe you. Everybody says so. Chris in Stubbington says, did you see the story about the council chapel on Frith that got sued over a noisy playground? They got fined £100. I thought it was worse than that. I thought that the people that sued them for a noisy playground got a six-figure sum. A six-figure sum! I think it was covering their legal costs, something like that. Stuart says, I love listening to your show. The only problem is I fall asleep within half an hour after your show starting. It takes me a whole week to listen to both shows. Keep up the great work, says Stuart. Appreciate it, Stuart.
Thank you.
If you just can't take it anymore, and your eyes just will not stay awake, then you should know that the Friday and Saturday night shows get put up the internet as a podcast. Oh, yeah. It's a service that comes to you at no charge. It's exclusive to Global Player and the new LBC app, both of which are free from your app store. It's called Nick Abbott The Whole Show Podcast. And the idea is we take the news and most of the ads out, mostly, which means it's quicker to listen to, which will give you more time to wonder, how did those calls get through to me at the beginning of the show? Here's a call in, we'll see what this one's like. Holland Park. Hello, Nick.
Oh, hi, Nick.
Nick.
Before I get on to what I called about, that's interesting, your podcast thing, they take out most of the ads and
the news.
And the news. And I was just thinking, if they took out all the mad calls as well, probably only be left with 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, a couple of 3 minutes, yeah.
Anyway, I phoned to talk about COVID deaths.
Mm-hmm.
Given the COVID inquiry, is that okay?
Yes.
Excellent. So I was looking, after the big, rollicking that Boris and the others got, I love to look at the stats of this, and I think it's really interesting to understand just how the deaths spiked in 2021, which was the first COVID year, 2020 versus 2019, and the way the Office for National Statistics counts deaths in the UK, it's done per 1,000 people each year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's and interestingly, 2019, the number of deaths per 1,000 was the lowest number since that stat started being recorded 70 or 80 years ago. And it was 9 people per 1,000. 2019, year before COVID. Right. And the interesting way, people can't really picture 1,000. I was looking around on the internet for an analogy of how can you picture 1,000 people? It's a medium crowded Circle Line train, tube train.
Okay.
So imagine that train going around the Circle Line every year, and it's mixed age, health. Each year, 9 of those people die. So 9 people get off at Blackfriars, let's say, to keep the analogy of the tube going.
Right. Well, they
9 people on the best year ever since stats started, year before COVID. So now the guessing game, and everyone can play this at home, is in 2020, which was the peak COVID deaths year, and that 1,000-person train is going round. Instead of 9 people getting off at Blackfriars, how many people got off?
Oh, is this a quiz now?
Well, it's a kind of statistical quiz because it was a terrible. If you think about the grief caused, the number of deaths.
Okay.
I think you probably want to guess. You're probably going to guess it's high. The spoiler here. You're probably going to guess it's higher than it really was. But go on, you have a go on behalf of all the sort of 3.5 listeners who are still actually listening at this point.
Yeah. Okay. No. Get on with it.
Okay. The answer is not 9, but in the peak COVID year, 10.
Right.
One extra person.
Okay, per 1,000.
Per 1,000. So instead of 9 per 1,000, it was actually 10.2 or something. So it's really interesting to think. I'm not belittling.
A little bit.
The point is that lots of people died in the COVID year who weren't really COVID deaths. Half the people in the old people's homes, people who got knocked down by cars are being put down as COVID deaths. Even the ones who really, and of course, tens of thousands of people really died of COVID.
Right.
But still, in the overall statistics, it's barely a blip. You've got to get with the program and realise death is really popular. It has 100% take-up eventually.
So it was an extra 70,000 people. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't know. Well, the point is, it is barely that many. Whereas the stats say it's like 200,000-300,000 people. And it was an extra 70,000 people. Is what you're saying? Yeah.
Oh, well, big deal.
It's
a 70,000 people is not a tiny anything. It just isn't. And you can talk about tube trains all you blooming well like, and you can talk about per head of population. It don't make no never mind. If you're talking about 70,000 extra deaths, that seems like a thing to me. But good effort there, Nick. I don't know who you're working for. Explosive claims by the COVID inquiry that 23,000 lives were lost because of one weak, dishevelled man baby who shouldn't be left in charge of running a bath, let alone a country. Oh no, that's not what it says. I misread that. It actually says there were explosive claims by the COVID inquiry that 23,000 lives were lost because of a 1 week delay in closing down. Ain't that right, Bob?
Yeah.
Baroness Hallett stated in her executive summary that if the national lockdown had been imposed on March the 16th, 2020, instead of 7 days later, when it was actually implemented, the devastating death toll from the first wave could have been halved, according to modelling. Among the conclusions in her damning report, Lady Hallett, the chair of the £200 million COVID inquiry, found further will happen. Oh no, I misread that too. She said among the conclusions in her damning report, Lady Hallett, the chair of the $200 million COVID inquiry, found that lockdowns might have been avoided. Said that the repeated lockdowns left ordinary childhood to a halt and delayed the diagnosis and treatment of other health issues. Or as that last caller would have said, big deal. It's just a train full of people, that's it. Lady Hallett said that by the time it would only become inevitable because of the acts and omissions of the four England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales. Northern Ireland. Says too little, too late. She said number 10, as well as the devolved governments of Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, had all failed to appreciate the scale of the threat or the urgency of the response that it demanded. She said Matt Hancock was over-enthusiastic. The PM Bodger Johnson was too slow and should have appreciated sooner that it was an emergency that required prime ministerial leadership, said Lady Hallett. But as our prime minister was Mr. Blobby, we were fresh out of luck there, Blob. Meanwhile, the health department gave him false promises that they had the situation under control. To which the normal response would be, Matt Hancock says he has everything under control. He also failed to rein in an over-enthusiastic Health Secretary Matt Hancock, who kept over-promising and under-delivering to number 10 about having a grip on the pandemic. Because he was busy having a grip on somebody else.
Disgusting.
The inquiry chair blasted officials and politicians for their glacial reactions as the deadly disease spread from China in January 2020. She described February that year as a lost month in which the UK could have made preparations that would have saved tens of thousands of lives. The overall lack of urgency in government was inexcusable. But, you know, Mr. Blobby did say, "Oh, is that nothing?" At this point, apart from it, they were going skiing.
Oh, fabulous.
Wow. Lady Hallett pointed out that the scientific evidence in early March 2020 from the Scientific Advisory Group for Emergencies, SAGE, including Chief Medical Officer Sir Chris Whitty, had warned ministers not to introduce restrictions too early, which would risk the public suffering behavioural fatigue. Yeah, I remember that. We're not to be trusted. Don't keep us in too long because we might react against it. I think we were all mostly pretty good, don't you? Considering. Later, when the second lockdown approached, Lady Hallett criticised Bodger Johnson, who throughout September and October 2020 repeatedly changed his mind on whether to introduce tougher restrictions and failed to make timely decisions. He said, Johnson's own failure to appreciate the urgency of the situation was due to his optimism that it would amount to nothing, his scepticism. Devastating cost to the economy. She also took aim at confusing COVID rules and regulations. She said there was a growing public confusion regarding the numerous changes, and even the police were battling back enforcing fines. Given that there were
Sunday morning from 10. Listen on our free global player app or the new LBC app.
This could be the best Christmas ever. Christmas Cash Call is here with a
this is not the end of the story, presumably. I mean, they will be found eventually, you would think. How could they not? Appreciate it. A critical incident has been declared over a 40-foot high, yes, high, mountain of waste after it was branded utterly appalling by Prime Minister Skier. The vast fly tip stretches for 150 metres in a field alongside the A34 in Kidlington in Oxfordshire, and it's feared that the nearby river Cherwell could be affected. Could be.
Warning, warning.
Don't go near it. Don't go on it, and definitely don't get any on your shoes. It's 40 foot high and 150 metres long. Now, apart from anything else, they're mixing feet and metres in the same paragraph. Why measure it in metres long, but in feet high? Anyway, that's a small detail. You just cannot believe the scale of this thing. It's absolutely incredible. Whoever did that should go to jail forever. Additional officers are being deployed to manage the site and hunt for those responsible in what's been called Operation Nation. Operation Nation. I think they might have to think that out again. That's a silly name for an operation. Operation Nation. East Yorkshire. Hello, Mike.
Back to Mr. Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the G20 in South Africa, Trump has pulled America out of the conference.
Yes.
And he's blamed the fact that South Africa is taking land from Africa and white land.
It's conducting a genocide on white people that Trump totally made up.
Which is absolutely untrue. But the interesting thing was the South African minister or government official, and he was asked, do you think Trump is behaving like a white supremacist? And this guy... Hang on
a minute, I missed that last one. Do you think Trump is behaving like a what?
White supremacist.
Oh, white supremacist, yeah.
And this guy just said, yeah, he's behaving like... And I thought, that is as blunt as it gets.
Yeah, that's not diplomatic language. You're supposed to say...
No.
Well, maybe.
But then it gets to the point that the South African president has decided to hand over the next G20 meeting, like handing over an Olympic cup, to an empty seat.
Well, they should have a tub of lard at that seat.
Because the next G20 is due to be held at Donald Trump's golf resort in Miami.
Well, let's hope they have to cancel it because it's inundated with floodwater. Fingers crossed.
For which he's charging the US government hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of millions of dollars, yeah, of course.
To host it, but the interesting thing is, and this is only conjecture, quite a few of the G20 countries have said, he's not turning up in South Africa. We might just give Florida a miss.
Yeah,
so it couldn't be for non-event.
Yeah, I'd give Florida a miss. You'd have to pay me to go there now.
Well, what a step to be in. Yeah. Can I just have a quick word on the COVID thing after Nick came from whatever in London came up? One thing I do want to come out, this is David's point, one thing I do want to come out of this review is that if we ever end up in this sort of situation again, we have got to separate the scientists from the politicians, because what ended up happening is that the scientists were advising the politicians were deciding on policy, and the scientists were getting put up to try and defend the government position.
Right.
And they weren't at times telling the truth. This is one of my respects to them. They were misleading the public to try and defend the politicians' decisions. That must never happen again. What should happen is the scientists should give the science, the politicians make their decision on it.
Yes.
And then they have to stand and back their own on this.
Yes.
The scientists said, you do a 10,000 will die, you do a 20,000 will die, you do a 10,000 will die. The politicians have a decision to make. If they decide to go with C and 30,000 dies and 10 died, they have to justify their decision.
Yeah.
Not the scientists. That was most unfair on the scientists.
And I think that if this does happen again, and Anthony Fauci, out of America, the chief medical officer, He said at the end of it, he said, we are now entering the era of the pandemic. And I think what he meant by that is because we're living too close to each other and too close to animals that used to be wild but are now interacting with us human beings. And, there's all sorts of...
doing too much research on it.
Well, maybe. But there's... we're flying more than we ever have, and, the interconnectedness of the planet has never been so intense. And so, it'll probably happen again, and I bet we screw it up again.
Yeah, it's possible.
I think it's that's possible, but unlikely, because each country will want to best the other. I mean, they're still crowing about we had the vaccine at first, by a hair's breadth, big deal. And the only
talking about the vaccine thing, just let me say the next thing. The second biggest mistake, yes, Roger activities were in the spring was a major mistake. But the even bigger mistake was when we had the vaccine. Was it Margaret Keenan was on the TV getting injected with our first vaccine? Roger wouldn't shut down because he's accused Starmer of being the Grinch that wanted to shut Christmas down. But we had the vaccine, and all the most vulnerable people were getting vaccinated at day. If it shut down a week before Christmas, instead of leaving Christmas open, sending the kids back for one day,
right? Yeah, that was
in the lockdown. If it shut down a week before Christmas, he could have unlocked at the end of January. The elderly people, most vulnerable, would have been vaccinated.
Yeah, there's buts. Yeah, there's but though. There's a huge, giant, wobbling but though by Sweden. Sweden didn't lock down much at all. They didn't really go for social distancing. They didn't do any of that stuff, and they came out better than we did. So, there is no absolute certain method to vanquish something like this. If you look at all of the countries' responses, it's virtually impossible to come out with, the perfect response was this. Because everybody did it slightly differently, and some were complete outliers, and they did pretty well, like Sweden.
Sweden did better than us.
Yeah, I mean, I remember going on about Sweden during the thing, because, I do a best-of podcast called The Nick Abbott Habit. It comes out on a Monday, concentrated amusement. You'll love it. And I clip up old shows, the best-ofs, and I've been listening to some of the old shows that we were doing in 2020, when it was all, everything that's been coming out in this report was happening. And I was always going on about Sweden, because they seem to be doing a hell of a lot better than we were. I mean, there's, the two countries aren't exactly comparable, but they were human beings in Sweden, pretty sure about that. And fewer of them died. They suffered less during the course of it, and subsequently afterwards. All right, good talking to you, Mike. Thanks for that. 0345 6060 973.
On your radio, on the LBC app, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at midnight. President Trump has given Kyiv until Thursday to accept the new US peace plan for ending the Ukraine war. Concerns are being raised because the proposals would involve the surrender of territory to Russia and a marked reduction in the size of the Ukrainian military. Donald Trump has been telling reporters the war could have been settled some time ago.
I thought he should have made a deal a year ago, 2 years ago. The ultimate deal would have been if it never started. That would have been the good deal. That could have been done too if you had the right president, but you didn't have the right president.
Ahead of next week's budget, the UK's credit rating is being reaffirmed by the global ratings agency Moody's. It says it will remain at AA3, and the economic outlook for the country remains stable. The King King's brother is being criticised by lawmakers in the US who requested an interview over his relationship with the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Members of the House Oversight Committee had asked for information from Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. They're unhappy about what they're calling his silence. The Prime Minister has challenged Reform UK to begin an investigation into links with Russia. The party's former leader in Wales, Nathan Gill, has been jailed for more than 10 years for taking bribes while he was a member of the Brexit Party and UKIP. The former Conservative Defence Minister, Tobias Ellwood, has been telling LBC it's in Reform's best interest to hold a review.
Absolutely, Nigel Farage needs to look very, very carefully and show to the British people that he knows exactly who is standing and that they are bona fide, they are standing up for the right values and standards that we actually uphold in British politics.
A former moderator of a forum on the Telegram app has been jailed for more than 7 years. The National Crime Agency says 29-year-old Bradley Talbot from Portsmouth blackmailed young girls into harming themselves and taking indecent images. He's also been given a lifetime sexual harm prevention order. And it's being claimed more than half of young people think the state doesn't give them enough help on getting them into the world of work. The TUC says they'd like more support when it comes to getting entry-level jobs with training and opportunities for progression. Careers advice at schools and colleges has also been criticised. LBC weather, cold for most areas to begin with overnight before outbreaks of rain and wind push southeastwards across the country, remaining chilly in the southeast with a low of 0 degrees. From Global's newsroom, for LBC, I'm Tim Daly.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Abbott.
Okie dokie.
Are you trying to tell me that this is your act?
Yes, sadly so. Yet young people are complaining that the government doesn't help them enough to get on the jobs ladder. Well, unfortunately, the ladder has been removed for your convenience.
Affirmative.
Yeah, it's been removed by AI. The thing that is helping you kids do your homework is going to take your job. And that's pretty much true. You know, all of those companies in the city, all of those bright, shiny buildings in the city, the banks and the accountants and the lawyering, you know all of that lot. Yes, them. They've removed all of them, not all of them, but they've started the removal of those beginners' jobs, those starter positions, because they don't need any human being to do that simple stuff anymore. They just use a robot to do it.
Affirmative.
And that robot is going to terminate your position. Yes?
Yes.
So if you can't get on the ladder right at the bottom, then that career path does not exist anymore. You kids are at the forefront. You're at the tip of the wave. You're surfing the wave of the artificial intelligence revolution that will remove any possibility of you ever working at all, ever. Still, Bassett Gramble, Bath. Hello, John.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good, thanks. Well? Yes.
Could I just say, just before I've got a couple of points, but just before I start, I wish some of the callers would straighten their back and speak from their diaphragm and enunciate properly, because honestly, some of the sentences, I just got like 3 or 4 words between the sentences and I couldn't understand a word that was going on.
Yeah, please, speak from your diaphragms. Wherever that is.
Well, yes, well, that's it. I was going to say, you know, you had a caller called Nicholas that rang up 2 or 3 callers back, and he was talking statistics and things, and it's the second time I've had the pleasure of listening to him call, and he's made me wish that I never survived COVID.
That's a bit strong, John.
Well, I think he just got the wrong idea about today's programme. It's like he should be ringing up during the week in the morning to a few other presenters. I think why he's ringing up on the fun show on Friday, I don't know.
No, why is he picking on me? Why is everyone picking on me?
Because you're popular, and yeah. Okay. But I was going to say, you know, one of the callers was talking about the Lake of Detritus.
Yes, unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Reform haven't blamed it on immigrants.
Well, give them time.
They will. They will.
Well, but you know, maybe it was, and maybe it wasn't. I would imagine that. Well, I've I've got no idea. I hope that we find out.
They processed it all.
Processed it, yeah.
No, the other thing I wanted to say to you is this, or ask your opinion. I was reading somewhere during the week that one of the churches in Europe have got a confessional that has an AI Jesus in there.
What?
And it's like a hologram.
No.
Yeah, no, I'm not joking. My wife didn't believe it. She said she's like a devout Catholic and she couldn't believe it. But anyway, it had two reviews. One of the people that sort of went through it said it's quite insightful, it's really good. And then another person said, oh, it was really generic. It was like Chat GPT.
Well, duh.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it's quite scary that like religion is embracing like AI.
Well, businesses are embracing AI. It's virtually impossible to speak to any large corporation now. You just can't do it. You go to if you have a major complaint, like I did with with my broadband supplier.
But that took all day.
Well, it didn't take any time at all because you cannot speak to them. It cannot be done. You go down to the bottom of the page and you press on Contact Us. And it takes you to a range of options about what would you like to contact us about. And whatever you click, it just gives you more options if you press here, it will take you to a page on our website which will perhaps answer your question.
None of the options are what you want.
Exactly. Has this been helpful, they suggest, with the thumbs up emoji at the bottom of the page? Yeah, well, let me think about that. No, it has not been helpful.
Yeah, it never is. Could I just say as well, in terms of gaslighting, it kind of, you were talking about Donald Trump calling somebody piggy.
Yes.
Boris Johnson did a similar thing to the leader of the SNP, and he accused him of eating too much cake.
Boris Johnson did?
Yes. And I don't know what it is about certain people. It's like, but same with like Donald Trump. They don't really look at themselves.
When you say certain people, John, you mean men, don't you?
Well, it's men, a particular type of man. It's not yourself,
no,
and hopefully not me. But it's like the Donald Trumps, the Boris Johnson. They're like abomination to behold, and yet they criticise everybody else.
Yeah, an abomination. Well, it's rude but fair. Yeah. I think they get a sense of who they are really, really young. Like when they're a teenager and more svelte than they became. And that impression of themselves never leaves them. They always imagine themselves to be, gorgeous and young and healthy and fit, regardless of how old and deformed and blobby they become.
That's why I call it gaslighting, because it is gaslighting. If you're going to look at somebody insulting you about your weight and you're looking at that person who is worse than you are,
yes,
it's kind of like, what?
Does not compute. Correct.
Yes. But anyway,
I think also that men they don't perceive getting fat and blobby and unhealthy and disheveled. They don't see that as a bad thing. They still think of themselves as they used to be, and they imagine that that's how everybody thinks of them too.
I know, and they're far more critical of women, and they're far more critical of... I mean, listen, do you remember, what was that minister's name? She was telling people about obesity, and, I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but she was conservative. She was the one who was dancing around when the two-child benefit cap...
Anne Widdecombe?
No. Coffee.
Oh, Therese Coffey, right.
Yeah, and she was like waxing lyrical about how everybody needs to sort of like lose weight. Kind of. I honestly, it's like it's negative belief. I just sit there and just think, what is going on here?
You first, Therese.
Universe.
You first, Therese. Right.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway.
All right, well, look after yourself.
Okay, will do. That sounded like a threat, didn't it? Like it would be a shame if something happened to you.
Absolutely.
I'm 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, 7. so that when he becomes totally unreasonable in about a month's time, his fans can claim that he's being hard done by. I met him. He's a terrible person, a radical, communist, fascist lunatic, and I like him a lot. He's going to be tremendous and huge. And the worst thing to happen to New York, he'll be great, and I like him. Robin says, hi, Nick. They say Farage prefers vodka and caviar at the ballet to a pint and a pie in a flat hat. The long-suffering people of Clacton deserve the truth. Robin doesn't know any of that's true. He's just asking questions. Let's have Birmingham. Shirley.
Oh, hi, Nick. I'll take you off the speaker just a minute. Yeah, just a couple of three things. The AI will never know the future if we stick to AI. We won't know the new problems. The second odd thing
Hang on a minute. Can I go back to the first thing before we go on to the second thing?
Yeah, we won't know because there are always new problems coming up with law and things like that. We won't know that if we haven't got a person to say, oh, this has happened, if we only go on what's happened before.
Okay, I'm even more confused having heard your explanation. So, moving on.
A guy was jailed for 10 years for spying, which was quite odd.
Right.
So that was that. And the third one is the strange guy who said nobody died. The head of New York, Mayor Cuomo, lost his job for saying, I'm going to bury the dead bodies in the public park. Bolsonaro, the head of Brazil, lost his job for having 6 million people die in Brazil. Here in Birmingham, the government said to the mosque here at Highgate, Birmingham, do you have any body bags? And 2,000 coffins were in the car park. 2 Pakistani opticians, 2 Pakistani dentists didn't work for 4 months, and they were emergency to wash the dead bodies. The cemetery at Handsworth got special permission for expansion because the Muslims wanted to be buried within 24 hours. And also the crematorium, they open 10 till 3, and they started to open 4:45 till midnight.
Yeah, it was practically a drive-through. we can laugh about it now, Shirley, but only just.
I know. Yeah. And there was a girl at the BBC who lost 10 relatives in 6 weeks. And there was also a church in New York that became famous. It was only small, 400 people, but 250 died.
Well, that's a function of religion, that is. It's an old people's thing.
Yeah. So when the guy said, oh, we're going on a train and nobody's getting off,
Yeah, just the idea that, oh, it's just a train full of people, no biggie.
Yeah, but people did die. They really did.
Mm-hmm.
And is it the NOS, the Department of Statistics, said there were excess deaths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boatloads.
Yeah.
Yes. Like literally cruise ships worth. Yes. All right, thanks a lot, Shirley. 0345 6060 973. But it was 200 million quid, and it came up with the same conclusion that I predicted it would before it happened. Lessons must be learned, and nothing further will happen. The lessons will not be learned. We'll be the same catastrophic clown show if this happens again. I'm absolutely certain of it. I mean, you think that they're going to get all of their ducks in a row? Of course not. And I bet just before it happens next time, then whoever the Prime Minister is at the time will say, in order to save money, let's dismantle the organisation that exists to fight a viral outbreak. Because I do believe that that's what Blobby did a couple of months before it broke out. Ain't that right, boys?
I can't comment on that.
0345 6060 973 LBC.
Weekdays from 7 a.m.
Why is there delay?
Straight to the point.
This government is unravelling everywhere you look.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC.
How can that make sense to anyone?
Listen on our free Global Player app or the new LBC app. Download it now from your app store. LBC.
I'm aware that I don't say that I love you enough, but I do. I want to say that I love the way your hair bounces as you walk. The way you interrupt my stories, yet you still tell them even better than me. I want to tell you that the track is you is my favourite you, and the fact that even on holiday, the right side of the bed is your side of the bed. But you of all people know that I just struggle to say what I mean.
This Christmas, if you can't find the words, find the gift. John Lewis.
Great to see you back at Specsavers. OK, could you read out the letters on the wall for me?
Yep. D-E-A-L-S? Yeah, D-E-A-L-S. Deals.
Oh, right. Our Black Friday deals are eye-catching, but the letter chart's over here.
Oh, sorry.
At Specsavers, we've got all sorts of unmissable Black Friday deals, like up to £50 off one pair of designer glasses. Offer ends on 7th of December 2025.